Good evening, race fans. Welcome back once again. It is time for your Monday Night Racing Fix here with the MC Motorsport MCV8 series. It is, of course, round 4, and we find ourselves this week at Oran Park, of all places, for the last bit of racing before the break week for, of course, the Real World Bathurst 12-hour next week. And, of course, a few of the drivers heading off for that. But this week, we find them on track at what has certainly been a contentious choice on the calendar. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Welcome back, of course, on behalf of everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcasts. My name is Jared Cole, and I'm joined in the booth once again by my esteemed co-commentator, Dean Hopton. Biggles, how are you, my friend?
Good evening. Well, I'm looking forward to it, mate. Those engines are roaring and the atmosphere is electric as these V8s are going to take on the iconic Oran Park, mate. The circuit's steeped in Australian history, and it's a staple of racing down under as a fan favourite circuit, not for you, that delivers high-speed thrills and tactical challenges demanding precision, bravery from every driver. Who will conquer this 2.6 ribbon of asphalt and write their name into the history books?
It's a good question, and look, we thought we had a small field last week. I'm wondering if perhaps a few of the drivers this week have succumbed to a little bit of the Australia Day festivities over the long weekend. Perhaps that's the reason for such a short field tonight, or perhaps it is just indeed that Oran Park is such a paralysing. My goodness. My words have failed me tonight, Dean Hopton. It's a polarising track.
Yes.
You kind of either love it or hate it, really. And I'm finding myself leaning towards the hate it side. It's a rough track at times, but if you can master it, it is honestly one of the most rewarding tracks that you can punt any car around. Tonight, though, in the Gen3 Supercars, I suspect these drivers are up for a bit more of a challenge than they ordinarily would be.
Yeah, well, it's got its fast straights, you know, it's got its tight hairpins, and it's got its infamous bridge corner. There's no margin for error around this track, you know. You've got to just go battle at supremacy and push these machines to the absolute limit. I'm telling you, a lot of people are watching the T20 cricket finals. Let us know in the chat there if you are. You can watch both.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Watch these
both.
cars throw around one of Jared's favourite tracks. And Jared, I'm going to get you one of those. You know, you can print off those tracks and put them on your wall. I'm going to get you one of
shoot me Oran Park. Fantastic.
Oran Park, yeah.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Mate, the conditions tonight, of course, we have our usual race format. So open qualifying going on right now on track at the moment. We have race 1, 29 laps tonight constitute the 75-kilometre race distance, and then race 2, the reverse top 10 grid, and 58 laps to make our 150-kilometre race distance. The drivers, again, face Australian summer conditions, 30 degrees air temp, 48 degrees track temperature. This track at the best of times can be a little bit harsh on tyres. I think tonight we're going to really see that play out, so expect to see the drivers really doing everything they can to stretch the tyres to the most they can get out of the distance in them. Even 75k's at 29 laps is going to prove pretty challenging, I suspect, to get a full set out of. But we will see how the drivers go. Outside of that, though, beautiful conditions, few clouds around, tiniest bit of breeze, but staying dry, no sign of rain, because, of course, Australian summer, why would we have rain?
Well, you live in Queensland, don't you, mate? In Brisbane. We get
That's
a
it.
little shower once in a while.
Yeah,
That reverse top
now
10
and
grid's going to be interesting. We have about 15 people currently at the moment. We have one driver yet to set a lap. But, yeah, so the grid flip won't be that bad. It's a reverse top 10 anyway. But, you know, if you're around that 9th or 10th place towards the end of Heat 1, you probably want to be looking at positioning yourself up in the into that race start as there's a championship standings.
Yeah, you'd want to be trying to set up for that. Yeah, let's talk about the championship standings. So, Fishy Motorsports were dominating the top 4 spots last week. Of course, the drop rounds coming into play, and Danny P, crowd favourite, up into 4th. Aaron Gilbert from Team Jinx up into 5th. Obviously, still another round to go before the drop rounds are no longer. But at the moment, there's still a fair bit of competition there. Jamie Dyke out in front on 393. Ty Delaney not far behind, nor is David Coleman. Danny P and Aaron Gilbert ahead of David Kirby. Then, of course, Jackson Austin and Damon McDonald ahead of Thomas Wilson and Robbie Bradbury rounding out the top 10. So a few moves up and down through the field there, and quite a few close battles as well. Henry King and Troy Maguire, 11th and 12th, absolutely tied. But quite a number of these drivers within a few points, and with 200 points on offer for the winner in each race, each round. a whole lot can change, particularly as we get to the end of the drop round sequence. So without further ado, we've got about 5 minutes left of qualifying. Let's go check out some of the action on track as we see what these drivers are up to on qualifying. And we will jump on down to check out Jamie Dyke's run at the moment, the current championship leader, and so far struggling a little with Oran Park's layout and trying to get the very best, as a big lockup sends him off track there. Not surprising to see as they're pushing the limits of these tyres to try and get the best time they can out of qualifying. On board here with Thomas Wilson, of course, just to see what he can put down. And it's look, Oran Park, it's a very, very challenging track, Biggles. I expect there's a couple of points we're going to see the first of the incidents tonight, and I think right about there is the first one. There's a nasty little ridge just as you come off the bridge that really unsettles the cars, so I'm not going to be surprised at all if we see the very first of the sideways vehicles happen there on lap 1 tonight.
Yep, you mentioned it. It's going to be very, very tricky to overtake, because with the little bridge to do the jump over, well, they go quick enough for that. Kind of reminds me of that little Henderson Bridge, I think it is, in Singapore. They go over as a grandstand. But yeah, well, it's going to be Danny P's going to be punishing not being here tonight. So Danny's not on the grid, whereas you do have his closest competitors around him: Jamie Dyke, Ty Delaney, David Coleman's here, Aaron Gilbert. I don't see David Kirby, so he's currently 6th in the championship. So yeah, it'll be a little punishing for Danny P this evening. It could be. But, you know, we're missing a few, actually, of the top group, as well as we see Henry King getting back out to just try and improve his position. At the moment, sitting 12th in qualifying timing. But, yeah, quite a few less drivers from the top end of the championship than what I was probably expecting to see tonight. Maybe taking advantage of the drop round and deciding that Oran Park is one they'd rather do without. Well, no, you would. This one,
Look, I'm not going to argue with them. It is an extremely difficult track. It is unforgiving at the best of times. But look, if these drivers can master it, it's going to prove really, really valuable to them, because having a good round here, I mean, for all, what have we got, 15 drivers that have showed up for tonight's race, by the look of things, you know, even if you're finishing down the back end of that, it's actually worth more points than a full grid somewhere like Bathurst, you know. So
have you ever taken a spin over that bridge, mate, and taken a shortcut because it's a figure eight?
I've not managed to jump off the edge of it yet.
Right.
I'm not saying it's impossible.
Outside the tyre barrels that you have to do quite often. I'm pretty sure iRacing give you a bit of a slap of an off track.
Oh, there might be a small slowdown with that. Yeah, possibly. We see Ty Delaney making his way around again.
Let us know your thoughts out there in the chat too, if this is a track that you do like or not. I was going to throw a poll up, actually, but I don't think I have promised that. It's fine.
I'll have to figure that out at some point.
Just shout out there in the chat if you like it or not. I like any circuit that's tricky that a lot of drivers don't like. It's more entertaining for us to watch.
Well, yeah, there's no denying that. It absolutely gives us something to look at. As we see Dean Powell on his way around, we might just jump over to Jackson Austin, who's got just a couple of minutes to try and improve his position. Currently sitting in 5th in qualifying, and this is the thing about Oran Park. They've got so much space here, and so much of it doesn't have track on it. It's really interesting, just the size of the infield here. It's get loose there as well. I don't know who came up with this track layout. It's, like I said, it's a really interesting one, and I think if you rebuilt Oran Park, modern standards, modern surface, and perhaps a slightly adjusted layout, it would actually be an absolute cracker. But as it stands, it is incredibly punishing. And the laser scanning accuracy of iRacing ensures that these drivers get to experience everything that Oran Park has to offer. Every little dip, every little bump, and look, it's going to prove, I am sure, to be a very, very interesting couple of races. We see a big moment there from Jackson Austin, just holds it together, and
I want to see how it's going to handle going over that bridge, because that sweeping right-hand corner is a tough one, especially as you've got that climbing up the hill, and of course then you've got that speed down the hill a little bit. It's unfortunate this track is gone anyway. It's done and dusted. It's all been ripped up and it's converted into a
housing estate these days, isn't it?
Now, yeah, if you look at the Google Maps and stuff like that, you'll see that. Though, of course, the V8 Supercars and stuff like that don't race here. Haven't raced here in a long time, and it was closed back in 2010.
Absolutely. We're just waiting for the last of the drivers to finish up their qualifying, and we'll take a look at the grid for race 1. It is going to be a small grid. So lots of opportunity for points for the drivers who have showed up here tonight. And for those who haven't, look, probably enjoying not having to get their cars around Oran Park. Ty Delaney and David Coleman, Fishy Motorsports, continue their dominance out in front, both within very, very short time of each other, only 200ths of a second separating them on their qualifying lap. Aidan Cale and Thomas Wilson on row 2, then Jackson Austin and Jamie Dyke, Reese Wakefield and Pat Trappett, Michael Angus and Nicholas Garrioch rounding out the top 10 ahead of Henry King and Aaron Gilbert. Then Damon McDonald, Jeremy Washington and Dean Powell makes driver number 15 this evening. Biggles, predictions tonight. Do you reckon Ty is going to run away with it? We've seen he is very, very fast indeed. He's going to be hard to beat.
I don't know. I'd still keep your eyes peeled on that Fishy Jamie Dyke driver. I think he's very capable of getting those race wins. His strategy might come out and play here. He may be able to slice and dice his way through the field. He's in a not bad starting position back in P6. Got to make sure I avoid that bit of that carnage there. Don't get caught into it and see how it pans out as the drivers are loading onto the grid. Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting couple of races.
Absolutely, it will be. 75 kilometres of Oran Park ahead of us. A sizable turnout, though, in crowd at least. Although it's a lot easier to get people along to a track when they are pixels. Who is playing in that tonight? I don't even think I've looked at it.
Hobart.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Hobart.
There you go. We're ready to get underway. Understart as well as the lights come up. Ty Delaney looking for a good start off the line. Dean McDonald starting from pit. And we are away. Nice and clean. A very, very good start there. Jamie Dyke getting a fantastic start and tacking right onto the back of Aidan Cale as well as they come down to turn 1. We're going 2, 3, 4 wide. There's contact immediately and you see some cars spitting out to the left there. Thankfully, everyone's managed to get it back on track reasonably safe. Oh, big moment there. That is Henry King. The Jenks Shifters entry has been turned around in amongst all of that, so hopefully he can get underway again reasonably quickly. And Damon McDonald getting caught up in that a little as he makes his way through. But thankfully, getting sorted out reasonably quickly as Ty Delaney immediately jumps out and starts to make a move. Now, check out Wilson and Austin side by side there. It's a dangerous spot to be going too wide, if only because a slight mistake will send you both off into the infield. As we start to see everyone settling in, the Laughingstock Racing entry there, of course, of Jeremy Washington standing out as always in its bright clown colours. Now this corner, it's absolutely blind, and I love seeing everyone power through that. It's terrifying when you're actually in the driver's seat, particularly on the opening laps where you can't actually see what's ahead of you. But all in all, we seem to be off to a relatively clean start, and Ty Delaney wasting no time at 1:13 right off the bat. Very, very quick opening lap. David Coleman right behind him and Aidan Cale sticking with the front two as well. So we make our way around, so McDonald and King, a bit of work to do to catch this up. But again, only the second lap, so plenty of time up their sleeve as we get underway here in race 1 at Oran Park.
Aaron Gilbert did a good gained 4 positions at the moment. He's running in a 2:03.4 down there in P8, so he had a good launch there. Jeremy Washington's up 3 in P11. That's not really the qualifying position he wanted there. And then Dean Powell is in that P3 position because of that Henry King, of course, mistake there with Pat Trappett and Damon McDonald a little bit further back. But no change, Jared, in the top 7.
No, and that's really unusual, particularly considering the start that Jamie Dyke got. I would have expected him to pick up a couple of spots at least in amongst all of that. But as it stands right now, he's right where he started, and it's a testament to just how well these guys have all gotten away. Titolani at 108, 120, and there you go, Coleman immediately after 108 flat. So wasting no time, all of these drivers in the top 7 recording at 108 on lap 3, so making the best of the fresh tyres before the heat of the track gets to them too much. As we take a look from Jackson Austin's left side, and you can see just the amount of rubber debris already getting flicked up by Wilson ahead of him. I hope that's coming through on your screens, because it's certainly there on ours. Yes, this track has certainly collected its fair share of marble already, which I think tells us all we need to know about just what this track surface is going to do to these tyres over the course of this race distance.
I'm just seeing where it's going to be looking at doing some OT. David Coleman at the moment for the Fisher Motorsports entry. He is in that P2. Just put the banker lap in, actually 108 flat. So they're getting close to cracking those 107 marks. And yes, it is 2 of the Chevys up the front, mate. It's a stacked Ford grid this evening. Only 4 Chevys.
Only 4 is and this is unusual. We've said this before. These guys. There's a couple of pit stops getting recorded. That's very odd indeed. That's
that
shouldn't be
because of the
happening at
pit
all.
lane entrance is
Of course,
so
yeah,
close
just
track.
touching over it. Wow, there you go, Oran Park sending us surprises. Of course, of course,
because there's an old track iRacing you can touch potentially fixing that.
Yeah, weird that, hey?
That iRacing itself.
Yeah, absolutely it is. We see a little bit of a gap starting to form now as Delaney starts to establish his dominance once again. Coleman doing everything he can to hang on, but of course at this point probably not a bad idea to just keep in mind how much distance you do have ahead of you. 29 laps is not short around Oran Park. It is only a relatively short lap, and it's a reasonably quick one, but yeah, certainly will get to you over time, and the slightest of mistakes here can really cost you. There are a couple of walls that are a lot closer than what we'd consider probably appropriate for modern race standards. As we take a look a bit further back at Jeremy Washington, laughingstock car racing entry, now battling it out with Michael Angus from Fisher Motorsport. Been tacked onto the rear for a little while here. These 4 going at it. Nicholas Garrioch out in front of this battle for 9th as it continues down the straight once again. And we see Damon McDonald having his early pit stop popping up for us again.
Top 3 are pulling away currently at the moment from Thomas Wilson, so that's Ty, David and Aiden. They're all getting pretty closely. Both David and Aiden actually keeping Ty at bay, keeping him close. They want to throw a blanket over all of them, as the Americans like to say in the motor racing. So that's very interesting, these 2.
Big moment. There goes David Coleman, big slide.
What a
How he's
save.
managed to catch that, I have no idea.
Got to cool those tyres down, but I'd yield the position way he has to Aiden Kale.
Oh, it doesn't give it up easily though. Straight back on the inside and pushing back onto it again.
He's got to be careful of his tyres. They're a bit cooked. There's the door banging, mate. He doesn't want to yield that position at all. He takes it back, but his tyres are definitely in the hot zone. You've got to be very, very careful. Very gingerly on that gas pedal. There we go. Another drag down the main stretch. Starting on the lap.
Turn 1 here is not somewhere you want to be side by side at full noise. Aiden Cale's got to have to play this very, very carefully because those tyres are cooked for David Coleman. They're going to take a little while to come back down, and especially with the temperatures of this track today, he's going to have to just tread very, very lightly for the moment. All of a sudden, these guys getting rounded up by that second battle pack. Ty Delaney just enjoying 3 seconds of space behind him. We'll, of course, give a big shout out to Aiden Kale, who finds himself in the qualifying stage for the Logitech V8 Pro Invitational.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
good job,
nice little effort for Aiden, and we'll wish him all the best for that one. But tonight, his focus is firmly here with the MC Motorsport series. And yeah, look, he's starting to walk away a little bit from Coleman, so finding his rhythm with that space in front, and eyes on Delaney now to see if anyone can reel him in, but that gap is not looking like getting any smaller.
And he does an overtake with Thomas Wilson getting on Action Jackson. That's a further battle behind them for that important P3 position, as we know that they got backed up into that one. My apologies. I call him Action Jackson. It's Jackson Austin, but he doesn't mind Action Jackson. He certainly provides the action and fast. He's got Jamie Dyke behind him and Reese Wakefield, the usual suspects here in different positions.
Yeah, it's a little out of the usual order tonight, isn't it? We tend to see some of these guys a touch further up, But this is the thing with a compressed field, let's say, certainly a smaller field than what we'd ordinarily expect. It does lend itself to these guys having to battle with drivers that they actually haven't spent a lot of time nose to tail with in the series so far, and so a lot of this will be these drivers just trying to work out exactly where they sit up against some of these competitors.
Thank you very much for tuning in and following. Don't be too shy to say hello and give us your opinion of who you're supporting, stuff like that. 15 or so watching at the moment, much appreciated. We've got over 118 subscribers, and like a little bit more, show off these drivers, these fantastic leagues broadcasting here on the Super Broadcasting Network. You've seen some fantastic battles as you see on your screen there, the battle for P4. They're still resuming, whilst David Coleman has to get his tyres. Should be all cooled down now, get his head back into the game there, and see if he can jump up onto the back there of Aiden Car and try to get that P2 position. Because at the moment, Ty looks solid, that P1.
Absolutely he does. This is, of course, Pat Trappett, who was moved up to the gold split last week. So battling it out with Jeremy Washington right now, back in 12th, but making a decent show of it. He is down 4 from the start, so certainly copped a little bit of the off-the-line carnage, and that slowed him down, but on he goes, and just settling in at the moment, lap 8 of 29. This is where the drivers need to just get their heads straight. Try not to be pushing at full noise, because this track won't let you do it for that length of time. They're going to have to make these tyres last. They've certainly got the fuel to do this without stopping. The tyres, you'd have to think there are only about 5 laps or so left in these before they start to get really slippery. So usually what we see is around about 15 laps in, the tyres start to really let go, and that's where the drivers start to drop that pace and start to make those little mistakes, as the grip that they were relying on just isn't there anymore.
Yeah, it's because of those tight hairpins, as you can see. This car's just dancing around them, and it just depends on how kind you are to your tyres, of course, because that traction will fall off that cliff pretty quickly towards the end, and when you start putting that loud pedal down there, that car's not going to agree with you. She's going to squeal, she's going to slide, she's going to be all over the place. You have to take her out for a nice dinner, buy her some flowers.
Dean Powell
used to name
test the relationship with the rear
well, Sebi
tyres
did,
there.
right? Sebi, during his championship years, he always named his cars, and he'd call them ladies, some sort of lady.
Up the inside.
Oh, yeah.
Tiny bit of contact there with Washington, but they've both come out of it relatively unscathed. Big
We
move,
have
and this
only
is-
seen there's only been a couple of overtakes at the moment, so these drivers perhaps getting a little bit of memo or some information from their spotters to really know, okay, that it is possible. There has been overtakes in this corner. You've got to give it a shot. You're going to get right on the back of them. You have to get ready to slam the anchors as quickly as possible and put your nose up there, and hopefully you don't get a Kim Kardashian plastic surgeon ready to chop it off.
This is the problem with this track, right? The really challenging part for these drivers. Oran Park is not an easy track to overtake at. There's only a few really good opportunities where you can try and send it. But in the Gen 3 Supercars, we know they're difficult to overtake in, and this track, with so little opportunity to do so.
Switcheroo, almost worked.
Jamie Dyke giving a shot, flashing the lights. He wants to get through here. He's been hassling Jackson Austin for a little while.
You can see the perspective there of Jamie Dyke fighting that car as he slides his way up over the bridge. He's trying his absolute best. He's been staring at the best part of Action Jackson for some time, as we do have a shout out there for SES.
Jackson Starrett joins us in the chat. Good to see you, Jackson.
Yeah. There's
a
the way
few
they
around.
cut the chicane on that one a lot more.
You have to, though. You absolutely have to. It's the only way to get through there quickly. You have to be prepared to dip the tyres, as we see Austin just getting a little bit loose on the exit. That might be all Jamie Dyke needs to catch him down the straight here, but again, it's not a long enough straight that the aero has all that much time to allow it before you have to give that little bit of a break to get into turn 1 and then into turn 2, slowing it right down and really stretching the limits of traction with these tyres as well. Let's keep on with Jamie Dyke here. A great view forward to Jackson Austin's Mustang. And Jamie Dyke, yeah, look, certainly has the pace. He's been patient, but I don't know how long he'll be hanging on to that patience for.
Down there in P9 and P10 at the moment. Michael Lang is just fighting it out there with Nicholas tooth and nail. Side-by-side battle as they cross over the bridge, sweeping to the right. Can't go side-by-side around there, gentlemen. Somebody has to lift off. In this case it is, but they're going for it tooth and nail. And it started those positions that they're at, so Nicholas desperately trying to do something about Michael. Michael desperately trying to keep Nicholas behind him.
You've got to be so careful, as I was saying before, cutting that chicane though. There's just that little edge of concrete you can get the tyres onto. Any further into the dirt and you lose all of that traction on the inside. You've got to nail it, and you've got to have supreme confidence in your car placement, because you can't actually see that until you're already driving over it. The ridge there hides everything. And all you can do is point at where you think you need to be and pray a little bit.
So we're getting closer to the halfway point of this race. We're on lap 12.29 for our first heat. We'll have a reverse top 10 grid, which will spice and dice things around. These drivers need to start to size up what they're going to do. I think it's more of a patient game, taking care of your tyres, and then you're going to see some real overtaking opportunities deep into this heat.
Absolutely. Jamie Dyke staying very, very consistent, not actually pushing particularly hard at the moment. Jackson Austin is costing himself time. You can see him starting to slide through a lot of these corners as the tyres just gradually start to give up their best laps. As we know with these supercars, the best laps that you'll get out of the tyres are really the fresh set, the first few, where you can expect to get your best times, and from there on it is a slow, although occasionally a very rapid decline in the traction available to you. Jamie Dyke continues to just ride the rear bumper of Jackson Austin, waiting for his opportunity.
Trying to force him into a mistake, which is that psychological warfare that these drivers always tend to do, make a mirror drive. We've seen a driver earlier make a little bit of a mistake. Jamie Dyke from Lang Lang in Victoria. I have no idea where Lang Lang is. Does anyone else know where Lang Lang is?
I hear it's in Victoria. I hear it's in Victoria. That's about all I can contribute to that.
Yeah.
But I suspect rural, just based on the name. I could be very, very wrong. Surely someone in the chat knows where it is and can correct me.
Backyard, you know? It's rural Victoria, mate. And that's why he's so quick.
You know what? Jamie Dyke with his simulator setup, I think he's probably got it all sorted right there in the lounge room, I suspect. It's one of the joys of sim racing, isn't it? It takes up a lot less space than an actual racetrack at your house, and gives you...
join the Discord there, and if you are at home and you're a race driver as well, too, show your racing rig. I always love just scrolling through and having a look at these racing rigs and pushing photos of.
Absolutely.
I've seen somebody with like a wooden seat that's just jimmied up there and screwed in the pedals and stuff like that. Hey, whatever works. I mean, I've seen controller drivers in some of these leagues too that are actually pretty quick.
Yeah, we absolutely do have at least one controller-based driver that competes pretty effectively in this particular league. So not in the MCV8s, but in MC Motorsport, I will say. So we see them make their way over the bridge once again. That little ridge on the exit, you can see, really unsettles the cars, and they've got to be very, very careful not to let the rear end step out there. Jamie Dyke again just hitting his marks and waiting for Jackson Austin to make the mistake. So we'll stick with this, because right now the battle throughout the rest of the field very, very spread out at the moment. Ty Delaney reasonably comfortable out in front, but Aidan Cale staying in touch. David Coleman a little further back again, then a much larger gap back to Thomas Wilson from SES Motorsport. Jackson Austin here in fifth, the unfortunate person at the head of the only battle pack on track right now. So we go on board with Jamie Dyke, making our way into turn 2, hard on the brakes, trying very hard not to lock it up, and then to get the drive down and out of the other side. The one thing these guys do have going for them tonight, we haven't seen a great number of off-track excursions, and so there's really not a lot of gravel or debris on the track for them to deal with just yet. Except where you can see Jackson Austin.
Every time Jared starts to mention something like that, bingo, it happens. So he's throwing the commentator curse out tooth for nail here to try to get something to happen. There is a bit of debris being kicked up from Dyke's car and onto Reese Wakefield that I'm running on board with at the moment. He's sitting back patiently going, he's probably seeing if these two are going to come together, then bingo, Reece Wakefield will score himself a nice P5 position if that's going to happen. But he's ready to pounce. The man from Brizzy, Queenslander, oi, 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 yep, getting ready to try to his absolute best. But of course, it's just depending on what happens with Action Jackson and Jamie Dyke.
It gives you an idea of just how hard Jackson Austin is actually pushing at the moment, using every inch of the track that he possibly can to try and find a way to open up the gap to Jamie Dyke, and ending up dipping his tyres onto just about every bit of grass around this track. And it's not paying off for him at the moment. All it's doing really is coating Dyke's windscreen, which maybe that's the plan. I don't know. Unfortunately for Jackson Austin, iRacing at this stage doesn't simulate grass clumps getting caught on your windscreen, so maybe not the approach, but maybe.
I think they want to get these flat spots in the tyres that they're working on. I want to see that more.
Oh god, that's going to be
turn them into a 50
that's going to be hell.
As the great Martin Brundle would say, 50p. Well, we have 50 cent points as well in Australia, similar thing. Aiden has put in some pretty quick laps consecutively, actually. His last lap was 108.85. He's still chasing down Ty for the win there, but it's 1.5 seconds down the road. He has time. We're just over halfway through a heat race. So
he's pulled about a half second back in the last couple of laps too, so he's certainly moving it along.
He's got clean air, of course, so you can just concentrate on your own racing line, concentrate on basically just consecutively putting in slightly slower qualifying laps, because you want to preserve those tyres. You don't want to just absolutely throw the car into every single corner and just chew it to pieces, because it will punish you towards the end of the race.
Absolutely it will. And it's still a long way to go. 12 laps doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're pushing as hard as these drivers are, every single lap you've got to be 100% committed to every corner if you want to stay in touch with the leaders. And Jamie Dyke right now starting to open up a little bit of a gap to Wakefield behind these two, but Dyke is just all over the back of Austin's car once again, just pressuring him, waiting for him to make the mistake. Austin coming very, very close on the inside of some of these turns to dipping the tyres, perhaps a little more than he should. Look at how much they're ripping up the inside of the grass there. Just got to be grateful this isn't a golf course. The greenskeeper would not be happy with you at all.
No, so not at all. But you got to give it to Action Jackson. He's doing a fantastic job for 41 machine. He's holding off that pressure, and it's very, very difficult to do that as a driver. And that just goes to show you his experience, his head down, he's got his concentration levels. He knows that a mistake here can potentially cost him 2 places, those other 2 drivers behind him. But he's just focusing on his own race, and he knows that Jamie has to pull some sort of miracle overtake here. It's not going to be easy, and all Jackson has to do is just make sure you place that car, make it as wide as possible and as difficult as possible.
It's really interesting though, we haven't really seen Jackson Austin having to go particularly defensive into any of these corners yet, and I think that's probably more characteristic of Oran Park being a fairly narrow track overall. As you said, making the car as wide as possible is the name of the game when you're defending. At this stage, he hasn't had to do a great deal of that. And again, it just speaks to the nature of Oran Park being such a difficult track to pass at the best of times. This final corner, though, have a look at the amount of debris there.
It's been paying off for him. It makes it very, very difficult to overtake down the main straight. And you can see just too far back that Jamie Dyke just can't do it. I think Jackson has mastered that final corner. He knows that if he gets the perfect exit out of that, there's not many other overtaking opportunities. Of course, we're coming up to Sector 1 around here, the twisty part.
Look at the drop off from Reece Wakefield. Was right on the back of these two, and he's really stepped back from it now. Meanwhile, they're reeling in Wilson ahead of them. Thomas Wilson, last lap 1:10.47. Both Austin and Dyke in the low 9s. So these guys, this might be just a little bit of a helping hand that Jamie Dyke needs to make the pass happen. If Austin does come up against the rear bumper of Wilson, then Austin all of a sudden is having to think about how he gets past the car in front as well as holding off Dyke behind. But
what he'll also do too is that if he manages to get the overtake on Thomas Wilson, then he's going to be pulling out some of his playing cards and showing the tricks.
Oh, he's gone very wide there. He's going to be off in the marble. He's going to have to slow it down. That's what Dyke's been waiting for, is that mistake. That puts them
That's
side
exactly
by
the one you
side
don't
down the
want to
main
mistake
straight.
in that final corner, isn't it? That's the one you know you're going to be under massive threat. And at this point, where's he going to go?
He's going to have to slot it by. He's going to send it up the inside, though. Has a big look. Dyke covers that off nicely. And so the roles reverse. Let's see what Austin can do here. He's been under pressure for so long. It's his turn now to see if he can put it on Jamie Dyke as he runs very wide with Dyke playing a defensive line there. And I think Jamie Dyke is planning to just keep him where he is at the moment. That's allowed, of course, Thomas Wilson to open the gap up a little again in front as well. So the race shape changes very, very quickly from just that one moment. And it was,
the one corner he needs
to
to perfect is the one corner he accidentally made a mistake on. He was pounced immediately by Jamie Dyke on that one. That's the exit, of course, of the final turn. He knows it, and all he's got to do is just reapply that pressure and force Jamie into that similar situation and then try to pounce him down the main straight. Meanwhile, Aiden Cale, he's been putting consistently those bankers in, chipping and chipping and chipping away at Ty's lead. He's down to close to a second now. He is running out of time, but all he can do is just try to fill Tyler's mirrors up and then apply that pressure and see if he can steal that P1 away. But at this moment, Ty has started to respond. He's starting to put similar lap times in. They're almost identical on this lap.
Yeah, very, very close indeed. Something that is just of a little bit of interest, if nothing else. P4, 5 and 6, Wilson, Dyke and Austin, all three, their best laps, 108.56. That's pretty unusual to get three drivers all with the same best lap time and all lined up like that.
Yeah, it's a Formula 1 race where they had four drivers on identical P1 times during the qualifying session years ago. Maybe trivia on that one, let us know. But yeah, that's just to show you how difficult it is to overtake because they're all mirroring each other at times.
Yeah, absolutely. As we just get our overlays restarted here, folks. Give us just a moment while we bring you back the timing data.
Oh, Ty's made a mistake somewhere. He's shaved Aiden Cale's say half a second and now has him within reach. So these tyres starting to fall off the cliff there. Has Ty pushed it a little bit too much? And certainly at this late stages of the heat race, you don't want to be making too many mistakes right now because Aiden Cale has been zooming. He's been flying. He's been throwing that car around and he seems to be the quicker of the two at the moment. The only difference, of course, is that he's only in P2, Ty's in P1, and he's got to get past him.
Unfortunately, what we've just missed in amongst all that timing, Dean Powell had an incident and has actually crashed, so he's had to go through into the pits and get repairs done before coming back out on track. Looks like he's actually stayed out though, stayed out of the race. So perhaps a much less appealing repair time than what he was hoping for there. But here comes Aiden Cale. Got a good run out of that final corner. I think he might be on the money because Ty Delaney, he's been pushing hard all race. The temperatures here tonight, of course, very, very high, 50 odd degrees on track, and Aiden Cale is all over the back of Ty Delaney. Delaney just needs to find his rhythm again.
A little special, I think. He might say the best for last, as they say. Might have just taken a little less out of those tyres. Now he starts to push him. Now he starts to certainly apply the pressure. This is fantastic ending to this race. We still have that battle between Reese Wakefield and Action Jackson in P6 and P7, but we're going to keep our eyes peeled on this one because clearly Aiden is the quicker car. He feels like much more confident with it. He's got more traction. He's not sliding as much as Ty is. Of course, there's one thing to catch, one thing to overtake, as we're aware.
Absolutely. But if Delaney's tyres have reached the end of their useful life, it still means he's got 6 odd more laps to hold on here. Look at this blind entry into that corner. Gives you a really good view of just how difficult it is to see around. Delaney's going to have to be very, very careful on the exit here to make sure he gets all of the traction available. Aiden Cale sticking to him like glue at the moment, within 3/10, and on that lap around, only quick maths here, 0.08 of a second separating their times. Aiden Cale, the faster of the two.
But now he's in the dirty air. It's had a little bit of an effect on some of those drivers. It tends to just scrub off a lot of that speed that they have catching, and then once they get caught in that dirty air, it makes it very, very difficult. They have to then probably lift a little earlier than what they were expecting, brake a little earlier, and concentration through the roof, of course, because you don't want to be taking each other out in a solid position. You've driven a good 24 laps under some pressure, and we want to just make sure we can bring this one home to the blinding flag man in Heat 1. And concentration.
Jump back to Reese Wakefield as he makes contact here.
Oh, yes.
He's run straight into Jackson Austin, and that's run Austin off the track. Allows Gilbert through. Go back and we'll take another look at that one. Big dive from Wakefield.
He's up there, and he's realised he's just pumped him out a little bit. And did he yield that position back?
No, absolutely not. No, Gilbert's continued on there. So all of a sudden Jackson Austin finds himself down a couple of positions, and I am sure Race Control will be taking a look at that one while we keep our eyes up front on Aiden Cale and Ty Delaney going at it, getting to the closing stages of race 1 here tonight. And Delaney has really had the best of it all the way through. He's been out in front by a number of seconds throughout most of this race. All of a sudden, one small error seems to have cost him quite a lot of time, and this has given Cale just the opportunity he was looking for to close that gap. Now gets to put the pressure on and try and decide if there is actually a weak spot as he touches just barely the rear end of Delaney there. So Cale's certainly a little slower through the corner just prior to the bridge.
It's that backing cleaner effect you're going to get from that little bit of it sucks you in there with that downforce. And of course, especially in the downhill, you watch them and they come down the downhill. And he's gone a little bit off there. They've got to get on the power there gingerly. They both do, because they're all important exits to start another lap here as we're cruising our way down to a chunk of change of 3 to go. And Ty's can handle this pressure. Good chunk of what Action Jackson had to do for a whole bunch of laps, but unfortunately Action Jackson's down to the 8 car.
So Aiden Cale, look, he's certainly looking for a way around. You can see him. He's definitely got the pace, and here he goes, sticks the nose up the inside, makes contact. He's going to nudge Delaney back the right way as they get rolling again. And here comes Coleman.
And Coleman's around the outside, says, "Thank you very much, I'll take that one."
So Cale, I was expecting to actually cede that position. Although they've sat alongside each other, he hasn't handed that back. So, he has. Yep, he's handed that one back. There we go. So that was not, though, what... I'm just having a look at...
has favoured himself with the stewarding by doing that, so I don't feel like punishment would be necessary. Because both of these drivers have lost out on that situation, of course, because they've handed this one over to David Coleman.
They have indeed. Isaac Edwards, our race control, has just advised a redress required by Reese Wakefield. So you'll see he's dropped back behind Austin, which I think is a pretty reasonable outcome. Means no drive-through penalising.
Putting your nose in the moment,
Cale,
get chopped
big
off,
moment.
that'll scrub it. I don't think there was an opportunity there, mate. Not enough.
That was bold, to say the least.
You still got a couple of laps up your sleeve. I don't think it's worth risking it for the biscuit that much, because now he's got to cool his tyres down. Now he'll drop back a little bit, and that's going to take him a good couple of laps to get back up under the bumper, pending that tyre doesn't make a mistake. And you don't have many opportunities to get an overtake around here. So if you do time one up, you've got to make it perfect here. Otherwise, we've seen what happens. The cars will come together. They'll do a bit of door banging, and somebody's going to be having a smile on their face, and somebody's going to be having a frown.
Aiden Cale pushing very, very hard. You could see the car getting sideways through almost every corner. So desperately trying to regather and have another crack at Delaney. 2 laps to go once they cross the line this time. David Coleman, all of a sudden, looking down the barrel of a race win here in race 1.
Exactly. He started on the front row, so he's gained himself a position there for the Fisher Motorsports entry. His teammate, Jamie Dyke, is down there in P5. He's also gained a place, but it's just a matter right now holding on here in front of the lap inside. David will get this one in the bag. It doesn't appear that Ty or Aiden have enough in the tank to attack him.
I think their tyres are just shot at this point.
Yeah, David just got to bring it home. He's got to be a little cautious on those chicanes and make sure you don't throw it around too much there. You don't want to scrub off that speed and throw that P1 away. He's got a bit of breathing space. He's got 8 tenths. I would just be a little bit more approaching the corners like I was driving this lap for the first time.
Just got to hang in there. He's almost got this one in the bag. The battle for 6th in the background, meanwhile, Aaron Gilbert, another of the drivers to benefit from a couple others coming together. Jackson Austin and Reece Wakefield, you saw crashing earlier, allowed Gilbert through. He's now having to face quite a bit of pressure from Austin and in turn Reece Wakefield as they look to regather the spots they gave up during that battle. But hold on to your hats, it is the last lap of race 1 here. David Coleman out in front, Aaron Gilbert desperately holding on to P6 from Austin and Wakefield as the three of them make their way down the home straight for the last time in race 1 here. Just one more lap to go. We will keep our eyes on the timing up front to see if there are any changes, but this looks like the way it's going to finish. The only question is, can Austin and Wakefield make a move to gather one more spot and get some much needed points at this midway point of the season?
I would settle in where you are currently, my involves Reece, because you're going to be in that reverse grid.
It's not a bad spot to be.
And that's not a bad place to be, Nicholas is sitting pretty at the moment, and even though it's P10, he will get himself that nice pole position with Michael Angus on the front row with him, Mission Motorsports in that reverse grid. So they're going to be thinking about that next race right now, settling where you are. It's not a bad place to be, the reverse grid. You know how difficult it is to pass around here, as we're going to see David Coleman crossing the line, getting the victory. I don't think he expected that one, those two battling it out the front, but you've got to be at the right place at the right time, and he certainly was.
Absolutely. Thomas Wilson crossing the line there in 4th, Jamie Dyke behind, then Aaron Gilbert has managed to hold them off. Jackson Austin, Reece Wakefield finish in that order. The last battle on track here, Jeremy Washington and Dane McDonald for P12 and P13. Washington's got to hold him off here because McDonald has some pace, but that's going to be enough. And that brings him across the line. Henry King, the last of the drivers to finish a big slide out of the last corner, because why not? Finish the race in style.
Drifting for the entertainment, why not? And keep us entertained. It's going to be certainly an interesting race when it comes to that flip grid. And
absolutely, it will. So David Coleman gets the win, Ty Delaney in 2nd, Aidan Cale in 3rd, immediately behind, and then Thomas Wilson quite a bit further back. Jamie Dyke finishing in 5th, ahead of Aaron Gilbert, Jackson Austin and Reece Wakefield all crossing the line in quick succession. Michael Angus and Nicholas Garriosh rounding out the top 10. Pat Trappett in 11th, a reasonably uneventful race for him. And Jeremy Washington, Dane McDonald, Henry King and Dean Powell finishing out your 15 entries tonight. Dean Powell really did suffer pretty badly in that issue that he had earlier, and that has of course cost him. We'll bring him in. David Coleman, welcome back to the booth.
How are you, boys?
Mate, doing all right. Probably not grinning just as much as you are right now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Bradbury that one, but I blew the tyres off way too quick at the start, and I don't know what quarter it is. I think it's like turn 6. So I keep dropping the left side of the car off, and that just cooked the tyres. Aiden was quick, and with about 10 to go, I think I was lapping about half a second quicker than both of them before they caught up, and I just thought I'll just keep trying to tag on here, and I seen that little incident, and I'm picking a gap and I'm going left. So it's just hard, and it's hard when you get in the front, because you just get a bit excited, so it's just calm it down and bring it home. But yeah, pretty rough.
Mate, it's not a bad way to get a victory either way, and sometimes all it takes is just the consistency and waiting for the mistake to happen. I don't know how much time you spent watching the mirrors there, but Delaney and Cale continuing that battle behind you. We were watching from up here in the booth and just waiting for you to hold it all together and bring it home those last couple of laps. What's the plan here for race 2 though? Talk to us about the tyre situation. Obviously another hot track. What exactly can you do around Oran Park to try and make the tyres last a little longer?
They didn't feel too bad. Lap time was consistent. I think I might try the Dan Poulton strategy, but I'll just put that little bit extra fuel in. So I might try that one, I reckon. So I reckon it might be a good one. If you can get out that, if you just get that, coming through the traffic's going to kill you, and starting 10th here is probably even worse. So I've got to make it through that one too.
Yeah, look, it's always going to be a challenge at Oran Park, isn't it? It's not a wide track, and thankfully we're only trying to jam around 15 cars this time instead of the usual 30. Turn 1, turn 2. certainly my most hated part of this particular track. Talk to me about it in Gen 3 Supercar. I'll be honest, I haven't actually thrown mine around here just yet. Just how loose does it get coming through that first combination?
In all honesty, like I kind of think I haven't done as much racing as I probably would have hoped in this car. I kind of feel like the old car's gone. I'm probably driving this better than the old car, but it feels very similar. I don't think it's a downforce track, but I think getting through turn 1 and 2, that's the consistency to a fast lap. So like in quali, I think I nailed it through those corners, and if you get a good green sector through 1 and 2, you'll be fine for the rest of the lap. So it's just a matter of keeping it, and I don't know, the way I do it is a nice straight braking line, try to release it then turn. So it's a challenge, but yeah, I'm actually enjoying these cars, so it's good.
Good to hear.
And David, do you think a podium is possible for the?
I'd like to hope so. I know my teammates are going to be probably the biggest competition, and Aiden's quick, and I'm not sure he come fourth that race. He was quick too, so fingers crossed. Yeah, I think anyone could win it, to be honest, which I like that. So, but I'd say Jamie Dyke's a hot favourite, to be honest, because he seems to be doing these feature race things. So yeah, we'll see how he goes.
Well, we'll keep our eye on the Fishy Motorsports entries once again tonight. David Coleman, congrats on your win in race 1. We'll give you a little bit of time here to go and get yourself in the right headspace, and best of luck for race 2 tonight.
Cheers, boys. Have a good call.
David Coleman, your winner for race number 1, and got a bit of work to do here, Biggles. Coming through from P10 is going to be tough. Jeremy Washington in the chat, another comfortable 12th, mate. I don't know about comfortable. Looked like you were going at it. Questions from Brad around Tom running the wrong car paint. Yeah, look, I didn't want to mention it, but I actually do wonder if Thomas Wilson may have loaded up the Chevy paint instead of the Ford one, because it looks just a little off to the side, doesn't it?
Oh, right.
Don't know if you caught that, Biggles.
I did not.
There's something just a little off. Something just a little off, and I was going to leave him to it, but now that the crowd have called it out, I'll be merciless. I am going to try and get that refreshed, just in case it is an issue on our end, of course. But yeah, it's there's such a close paint work. I've seen it happen a couple of times actually. So you never know ultimately.
So we should have our grid coming up in a second as the little warm-up finishing. That's right, for our feature race tonight. And let's have a look, flip it all around for that top 10. See how they say. There you go, Nicholas, we'll get that poll.
Absolutely, right alongside Michael Angus and Reese Wakefield and Jackson Austin, Aaron Gilbert and Jamie Dyke on row 3, ahead of Thomas Wilson and Aidan Cale. Ty Delaney and David Coleman, all the work to do from the 5th row. Then Pat Trappett and Jeremy Washington just outside the top 10. Further back, Damon McDonald and Henry King. Dean Powell at this stage, I don't believe, will be participating in race number 2, but we will wait and see as we get ready to go again. Of course, pit strategy coming into it here, Biggles, as we see ourselves into the 150k race.
Put some banker qualifying laps in, and when everybody else comes in the pit, you might find yourself gaining a bunch of places.
Can only hope. Drivers just getting gridded up now. Very small field at Oran Park, and it's it's kind of nice to be able to see the whole field on the grid for once. I won't lie, I don't mind a smaller grid every now and then. It makes it a tad easier for us up here in the booth. And also means
47 in NASCAR, mate.
Yeah, I'll take a smaller field any day of the week. It makes it a little easier to keep track of what's going on. And Brad, of course, the support there for Reese Wakefield, and certainly in a good starting position. P3 off the line, it's where you want to be. We'll wait and see though if you can turn that into results at the end of 150 kilometres here of Oran Park. Just the last couple of drivers to get on the grid now. Jackson Austin in P4. We're waiting on Jamie Dyke, P6. Thomas Wilson in P7 as well. And Dean Powell looks like he won't be continuing in race 2. So hopefully not a major issue with hardware at his end or anything like that. But we didn't see him come back from that earlier crash. So who knows, in short.
Well, this is when you got to practice your race starts. It's going to be crucial here because you can definitely win and lose a race on the race start. And have these drivers done their practice and get the clutch point in there, get ready to slam it off the line, but not too hard, not too much wheel spin. You want to just gently get off the line there, maximum traction, maximum acceleration, and hold on to turn 1 and turn 2. Let's get racing.
Absolutely. Understarters order once again. The lights come up, and we are away for race number 2. And a clean start once again from the whole field, making their way down the straight at Oran Park. I tell you what, too many Arans, too many Oldens, too many Orans. We're into turn 1, and more importantly, everyone survived turn 1 this time around. So a bit of a cleaner one this time. 150 Ks, of course, they'll want to be set up well, and you don't want to get taken out at this early stage. Reece Wakefield getting pushed to the outside here by Jamie Dyke as they make their way through the first, and we can see the SES entry of of Dane McDonald going very, very wide on the way through there, just ahead of Henry King. Everyone's starting to get settled into their racing line now. A lot of debris on the track from race 1 still, so a very, very slippery surface just off the racing line. But right now, Jamie Dyke up into P3, a fantastic start for him, up 6 spots off the start. Huge move.
He got a fantastic race start. Nicholas bogged down a little bit off the start there, which allowed Michael to come along, Michael, current leader at the moment, to come alongside him and snatch that P1 away, so they switched to those positions, and yes, Jamie Dyke got a fantastic launch up there, going 3 places currently at the moment, hunting down Nicholas for that P2 position. And Michael, well, if he can put those laps in and stay out the front, and make it difficult for drivers to overtake. And then we're going to pit stops this time around, so we're seeing a fantastic battle brewing between David Coleman and Jeremy Washington.
Coleman goes through. I will applaud the Family Guy reference on the side of the laughing stock car racing entry of Jeremy Washington. Always love a Family Guy reference. Call me a child, but always a fan.
Cool.
David Coleman looking to make a cool whip. It's cool whip. Say whip. Say cool whip. Let's try not to devolve too much here, because as we take a look back up front, it does look like Thomas Wilson's car is sorted now. Whether he's changed that on his end or whether the refresh on our end has fixed that for him. In either case, the car looking resplendent as it should as he makes his way over it. Look at how far off the track these guys are taking
out
those.
There again. We're here for you every week.
Yeah, he is. Good to have you back, Lama. always positive to have the returning fans in support of their favourite drivers. Now, Ty Delaney up 1 spot, Pat Trappett up 2, David Coleman, that pass back into P10. He's actually just made it past Washington to get his spot back there. So a few moves right throughout the pack, but Jamie Dyke, I think...
Jamie Dyke, things are sizing up at the moment. Nicholas has managed to catch the back of Michael Angus for the top 3, and Jamie Dyke's going to be ready. He's right time to pounce on this one, the man from Lang Lang, Victoria. And Mike Nicholas has got to be knowing that it's difficult to overtake around here. Don't just yield it up. It goes a little loosey-goosey out of the corner. But he knows that even the best in the business, the championship leader, not going to make it easy.
No, absolutely not. This pack here for 4th, though, the gap just started to open up a little bit. Reece Wakefield trying desperately to hang on to the front 3. But right behind him, the rest of the field all pretty well closed. Aidan Cale looking for the move up the inside of that final turn. He's going to get it done. Does he have the pace, though, out from the slipstream? Doesn't make a huge difference in these cars, but it might be just enough that Cale's going to have to really fight for this position. Side by side into turn 1. Wilson's got the slightly better line, but Cale's well set up to push him wide here. And Wilson's going to have absolutely no choice but to drop in behind him. And just like that, Aidan Cale up into P6, so up 2 spots from the start. He'll be looking to make his way back up front for some more points.
Certainly had some serious pace in that first race until they got a little bit of contact and had to settle back. And yielded that one, of course, to David Coleman, who had a chin wagon 2 during the break from Heat 1 to the feature race. Top 3 is still battling that 2 for now. Reece Wakefield hanging in there, 6/10 down from Jamie Dyke there. Then there's a 1.5 second gap at Aaron Gilbert. It's a bit of a lonely race here for the Team Jinx shifters in both the heats so far.
He's getting plenty of love from Aidan Cale right now, though, isn't he? Cale looking up the inside. This is Aidan Cale again up the inside of the final turn. So this is obviously where he feels very, very strong. 2 laps in a row, he's made a position through there. And look at Ty Delaney stuck behind both of those drivers. So Kale's absolutely got it dialed in for that final corner. And it looks to be where we're going to see him make most of his moves tonight. Nicholas Garrioch now under huge pressure from Jamie Dyke. Dyke's taking a big look up the inside. It's not the corner for it, but he wants to make sure that Garrioch knows he's there. So Jamie Dyke's still in P3. Reese Wakefield, though, starting to up the pace a little bit and close the gap here. Instead, Aidan Kale with all the work to do behind. And have a look at this pack coming through right behind. Ty Delaney making a move
Thomas
up
Wilson,
the inside.
David Coleman, who just got past Pat Trappin as well too, so they're all in the mix.
Well, side by side here. Jeez, these drivers leaving each other just enough room, but nothing in it. David Coleman's going to look for the over-under here. Can't go through that one side by side. Can't go through most of these corners side by side with the amount of rubber that these cars have left in race one. We'll take a look a bit further forward. Aidan Kale, no one to pass on that particular lap. Ty Delaney now looking for the pass down the straight, and so is David Coleman. So the battle's starting to form up here, while the top 3 or 4 just settle into their rhythm and stay in touch with each other. Lap 6 of 58, still a long way to go. Ty Delaney soons it up the inside. He's going to end up side by side with Gilbert. If Gilbert can hang on, he will be on the inside for this turn. He's going to have to put Delaney under a lot of pressure. Probably pretty wisely backs it out a little bit earlier. I'll tell you what, you don't want to be crashing out with 50 laps still to go.
No, it's a long way to go and a short time to get there. It's a long way to get there. 2 is Brad's out there. He's usually racing with Reese in this series, but he's pulled out due to constraint GT3 series.
And look, fair enough, they're very, very different cars to drive. So, you know, you can spread yourself too thin very easily. It's one of the things I'm certainly guilty of with iRacing. I like to drive too many different cars, and so I'm not good at any of them, or at least that's the excuse I'm using. Take a look up front. Definitely a master of none. Reese Wakefield is caught right up to Jamie Dyke here, and we've got a nice little 3-way battle going on for P2. Nicholas Garrioch has both these cars battling it out behind him. You see Garrioch just having a minor issue with his connection there. That's got to be terrifying for Jamie Dyke.
That was happening at the very start of the race too, but it started to sort itself out, thankfully. But Jamie Dyke will send it up the inside. He will
Reese
have to
Wakefield's
concede that
send it
place.
as well.
So is Reese. Reese is like, anything you can do, I can try to do as well. And Reese is going to stick his nose up the inside. And I think just like that, Nicholas will drop 2 places in the space of a couple of corners. And he's going to be under a massive attack there from Aidan Kale too.
Absolutely, he will. Further back, David Coleman all over the back of Wilson still. Just a 10th or 2 in it. And Coleman just needs to find his opportunity to pass at this point. Have a look at Aidan Kale. Is he going to send it up the inside of the final turn here again? Oh, he has a big look. Garrioch shuts the door on him.
Look at the angle speed bump. He's got a little loosey-goosey from Nicholas out of the corner. Nicholas knows stay on the racing line, get a good entry in here. He's going to send up the inside. Let him send it up the inside. That's hold your position. Oh, contact.
Big contact.
Turns
big
in.
Contact. Garrioch gets turned. It's back on track. That's going to cost him a lot of positions.
He's going to continue. He's not going to yield that position back that easily. Probably look at Stewart's for that one, but he runs off. Kale goes into the kitty litter. Couldn't stop it in time. On the marbles now, that's going to be punishing. He's going to drop all the way down currently 12th, maybe even 13. Washington not too far around the corner. Bang, he will. Washington gets past. Kale goes from essentially almost P4, P5 now, drops down to the back of the field.
Let's go back and take a look at that, because that was a really odd spot for him to go off track. So what's happened here with Aidan Kale?
Goes in
heavy under brakes. Oh no, just gets very, very loose. Yep.
Yeah, it saves it from spinning.
Which is brilliant in itself.
And then, picks up all the kitty litter and marbles and all sorts of jazz, and has to spend about a lap getting all that off tyres and get brought back up to speed there and do that. Maybe look at an internal strategy right now, pit stops and see how this mechanic goes.
I had wondered for a moment if he had actually just intentionally pushed it a little bit wide there to cede that position back to Garrioch, but
yeah, he's going to the pit lane. I think
certainly wasn't that.
He was very, very slow out of the last corner as well too, because he went almost into the fence. So you definitely have to cool it. Just best rather than cooling the tyres off, mate, just slap some new ones on.
Get some new ones on and get underway. Absolutely. So the first of our, let's say, real pit stops here.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose at
car.
that point, I would say. You got to just change your strategy immediately. Go into that pit stop there, see how it's all going to pan out, and then come back out, fresh tyres, put some bagel laps in, and then see when the rest of the field jump in the pit road.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have to make another stop later. I can't imagine that he's going to make it to the end on the one tank from here. 50 laps is a huge ask, even fuel saving. And he's not going to have the opportunity to fuel save at this point. So, a lot of work to do.
Meanwhile, Dyke has now got to work on taking his teammate out. Not taking his teammate out. Whoa. Michael for the lead. Now, no team orders between the Fishy Motorsports drivers. It'll just be go, go, go. And Michael's in that position. Reverse grid. He's entitled to it. He's
David Coleman has a big moment there and sends it very wide, locking up the brakes. Was right on the back of Wilson. And unfortunately cost himself some time. Gives Garriosh an opportunity, though, to get back in touch. Pat Trappett now as well, looking for a move on Jeremy Washington. Sends it up the inside. Washington goes wide into the marbles. A little bit of contact. That's spun Trappett. Oh, and now Washington's ended up spinning as well. He's going to have to try and get it moving here. Washington's just
nobody coming
waiting it out.
Further back, but should be okay to get back around there.
Washington's spun it around, back underway.
Clutch in there and break it back
up. Absolutely. This is the thing, right? It's so much fun to flick spin these cars, but you really can't afford to on these tyres. They don't take kindly to it.
No, and then you'll be fishtailing down the straight for the next couple of
which looks great, don't get me wrong, but not ideal for your race pace. Henry King, all of the pace here as he makes his way past Dane McDonald down the straight, so got a much better exit out of the final turn. Sets himself up on the inside. Big pressure, though. McDonald not making it easy for him. But in the end, King goes through reasonably comfortably. And all of a sudden, things are starting to just change shape a little. But out in front, Michael Angus and Jamie Dyke, the two Fishy Motorsports entry, almost in opposing colours there, both favouring the bright green and black, but in different amounts.
Both laps in the late 108s, almost the 109s between them. Similar pace for Reece Wickfield in P3. Ty was a little quicker on that lap. He was at 108.4, so he's got a bit of clean air. He's putting some bank laps in.
It's really started closing that gap up now, hasn't it?
Yeah, he will close that gap up with Reece if he continues that. I think Reece is going to counterfeit it or not. Counterfeit it to counteract it. You can counter it if you want to counterfeit it. It's complicated. Jamie Dyke now hunting down Michael for the race lead. Michael's driving pretty similar. I think there is a little bit of... He's getting a little bit more loose, Michael is. I've been keeping my eyes on that one. Jamie's just... approaching the corners a little bit more smoother. Carlos Sainz and smooth operating.
Like Angus by no stretch is a slow driver either, but Jamie Dyke is just so damn consistent. Week in, week out, corner in, corner out. You very rarely see him put a foot wrong. You saw in race one that he was happy to just sit there for what I think was about 15 laps before he finally saw the mistake happen in front of him. The patience that this man has to wait for the aero doesn't ever seem to lose that cool head.
Sign of a good race driver, of course, is that patience. And
absolutely.
Coming out of the corner from Michael. This could be an attack right now. Good exit there from Jamie Dyke. It's on the tailpipe. Bingo. Now he will scrub a lot of top end speed if he sticks his nose out there. He's going to show him. He's going to dummy in. That's what you do as a racing driver. You make Angus think and double move before they get into braking. See the track length as well too. Jamie Dyke using a lot more of the track there. Cuts in the inside apron. Doesn't run too wide there because you've got to flick it over here to the left and then get under the heavy braking and then crank it around the corner. It just keeps turning and then bang. Don't turn it completely to the right there. You'll go off into the side track.
Probably not ideal.
You've got to stay off that chicane on the inside as well too before you go over the bridge. And I love this part of the track. They're sweeping it to the right, cut onto the grass. Of course, that is perfectly fine. Car sliding. You just feel the energy sliding. Down the downhill, gets bumpy, climbing back up again through the S's. Swing it over to the right-hand side. Chop it down a couple of gears, get on the gas. Don't go too far out in the marbles there. You'll lose traction. Swing it back over here through It's fantastic. Part of the track there, you can see they put a little bitumen down there, a bit of concrete there to grab traction. And of course, this is the infamous corner on the exit here to go down to start another lap, which will be lap 14 58.
David Coleman now all over the back of Wilson, and has been there for a little while, continues to put the pressure on. Wilson's starting to get a little bit loose. You can see him just starting to slide through those corners, so he's really at the edge of what that car's able to hang with right now. And of course, out in front, Jamie Dyke continuing to put pressure on Michael Angus. So a couple of very tight battles here. Only lap 14 of 58, still a long way for these drivers to go. But of course, every second counts when you're thinking about pit stops and how much time you might lose while you're in the lane there. Aidan Cale out of the race.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was just looking at what happened there. It's just like
I think that's just after that. I think it's just after that earlier issue where he's gone off track. He's decided to call it a day there. Now, I don't know whether there was a huge amount of damage sustained or anything like that. I don't believe there was, but yeah, unfortunately, you find yourself that far out of the running at a track like Oran Park, and yeah, it can certainly demotivate you if nothing else.
Well, there are points up for offer.
Absolutely,
so
always points available. Pat Trappett's had an incident in the background. Let's go back and take a look.
He's going to get a General Washington. Oh no, that was earlier. Apologies now. This is all by himself. Ooh, blinking. Yeah, blinking, and then comes into the fence.
I'm not sure if he's actually had an issue there, or if that's just his connection issues making it look like he had a big one. I think he's okay, thankfully.
I think that the iRacing AI takes over and kind of predicts where the car's going to be. Because it
predicted him straight into the wall.
And said, "Hey, you hit the fence."
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, absolutely. Big call. I'm not sure if Mango's predicting P3 at the end or P3 right now, but Reece Wakefield under a lot of pressure for that P3 spot right now. Ty Delaney has caught him, and these two will be going at it for a while yet, I suspect, before either one of them blinks. Wakefield very quick in his own right. Ty Delaney, though, currently leading our championship, or P2 rather. And look at that. Wakefield goes defensive. Ty Delaney gets a much better exit as a result. And through he goes. Right behind them, of course, the trio of Gilbert, Wilson and Coleman continue to stay close. Lap times right now, we are seeing 109s at the moment. So starting to drop a little bit of pace as the tyres lose their first wind, let's say. We take a look
some of the
at
drivers they're all in the nines clubs now, 9 flats to mid nines. Most of the field, early nines, so that's, yep, as you said, pace starting to drop off a little bit with the tyres, and they're just taking the easy. There's quite a bit of racing to go still. You can see the patience too that Jamie Dyke has. He hasn't. He's putting the pressure, just applying that pressure comfortably on Michael in the lead. Seeing if Michael's going to make any mistakes, ready to pounce on it. At this point, he's not sending anything crazy. He doesn't want to take out both the Bushy Motorsports entry teammates.
Absolutely not.
Just biding his time as he does. Very patient driver, we know that comes with great experience. That's something that a lot of drivers who do endurance races know that as well too. You've got to be patient. You've got to choose your battles wisely when they're there and they present themselves. But don't take any unnecessary risks. So
yeah, absolutely. It is a long way. 150 k's is certainly not, endurance distance, but it's far enough, particularly with the limited fuel capacity of this particular series. It's far enough that it's far enough. It's certainly far enough. As we see now, there's 3 Fishes entries.
I don't think that's a little bit on.
It's a little further. It's a little further.
Maybe combining both the race distances and that still wouldn't make a good cut.
Yeah, maybe. Thomas Wilson has dropped right out of this one, went off track just a moment ago, and that's allowed David Coleman past. We'll go back and take a quick look at that. So this is, of course, that turn 1, turn 2 complex, and Wilson just getting it all sorts of loose there.
He's into the place, and
yeah, not the time for that, is it?
Tires. Dykes speed back up, but time to go. You know what? Nobody's been in the pit lane. We do know that Aiden Cow went down there, but he elected to retire for the session. Dean Pell retired for the session. Axton Jackson's retired for the session. We're down to 12.
Power and Austin, of course, not actually taking the green flag each time. Big move for Garrioch. That allows Henry King through. And yeah, lap 18. We've seen these tyres do seem to get... It's almost like they get a second wind once they get through this patch, but it's surviving this bit that can be really tough. It's just a reminder for the drivers, hey, time to let the tyres just come down a little bit.
Yeah, Mango Energy's asking what the lap times are going. She can pull that up there. The current lap times that drivers are doing. 109s. Was it 108 from Ty though in that last lap? So that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, he's still pushing along very, very hard. And you can see the gap he's closed up.
On that one, yes, he has closed up to that top two drivers, as Jamie Dyke knows has been patiently following Michael at this point, but now he's got the other Fishing Motorsports entry. Will they be working together as a team, or will they just fight it out on track to see who's the ultimate fish?
So the times on screen, your last lap times on screen right now. So Wilson just setting his fastest at 108.7. But you can see primarily 109s, a couple of 110s on the last set of laps.
You ask, and you should receive on the Simple Broadcasting Network, Jared. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, we do what we can. We do what we can.
Interactive broadcast here. We're not like David Croft and Martin Grumble.
To be fair, our viewership's a little bit smaller than theirs as well.
Yeah, you got 10,000 people talking at once. You'd have to nitpick on who to respond to, but we're trying to engage with everybody here at the moment. It's Jamie Dyke still following here. A little bit of a mistake every once in a while. Tiny one there from Michael, but just not enough for Jamie to pounce. Of course, it is difficult when you're the one being chased by everyone. The pressure's more on your shoulders, on the trunk of your car. That's right, for the Americans, it's a trunk.
Ugh.
It's a boot in Australia.
It's a boot, absolutely. You've got to watch out for the boot when you come here. If you learn nothing else from The Simpsons, you've got to watch out for the boot. Ty Delaney, it'll be interesting to see if he... very, very wide from Angus.
Yep.
That's going to be enough for Dyke to think about a move here.
No, he can't, but there's no way you'd have to send it down the inside.
Brilliantly defended, though.
Roll off the speed, don't you? Because we're going to tight twisted corner on the exit.
As I was saying, I've got to wonder what Ty Delaney's going to do here. Is he going to try and push ahead and get out in front of both of these drivers? Or is he content to just settle in there as well? Reese Wakefield just doesn't have the pace to stick with them at the moment, so he's back another 2.5 seconds. You'd have to think that the three of these guys will just sit it out for the moment.
I've got to feel if it's Ty gets a little frustrated here with speed. It feels like I can't get the overtake done. He's going to be looking at that fuel window soon and thinking, shall I do the undercut in the pit lane? So he knows he's got the speed behind him. He knows he can get those crank laps. He's been very quick of late, actually. As I said, he's been one of the drivers who's in the 108s for a couple of laps before that. And now he's going to feel that this is slowing him up too much. He can't get the overtake done. And he may be considering that early pit stop.
Still, it's a very early one if you go in now. You probably want to be thinking about it, I don't know, 10 laps or so from now might be when they start to think about it. Of course, the further three can push.
It's losing him about half a second a lap. Do your math on that.
Yes, I mean this is the question, right? Do you go for a dominating victory and try and finish 12 seconds ahead, or do you do just enough knowing that you can be quicker than these guys once you get a little bit of clean air? It's a tough call for Ty Delaney.
Battles, of course. Top three, you've got the battle for Aaron Gilbert, David Coleman, who's slicing and dicing his out through the field, confident after his Heat 1 victory, and looking solid at the moment. P6, 4 positions gained up on that reverse grid. So keep an eye out for David Coleman. You heard it from him, he's confident in this track, he likes this track, it works with him. Capable of getting some great results. And he said a podium is possible for him, and no doubt, he's certainly on his way.
Here it comes, the move from Jamie Dyke. He was looking up the inside of Angus.
Yeah. You said it, mate. That turn one approaches it quicker than you think it is. You think a lot of straight runs out quickly.
Yeah, it's not a place that I'd ever want to be trying to make a pass, but these guys, big moment for Reese Wakefield in the background. Getting very, very sideways. Jamie Dyke clearly the higher pace down the straight, but not quite enough to be alongside Angus at turn 1, and yeah, you really don't want to be going too wide through that one. There's just not enough room. Costs you far too much time and not worth it just to poke your nose ahead 22 laps into a 58 lap race. But talk about throwing a blanket over the field. Look at these three go. It's like a training drive for them at the moment.
Yeah, Reese should take advantage of that because they should generally start slowing down because they're battling now. You're going to have to lift off a little bit more than what you generally would be. Especially when Jamie Dyke and Tyler a little bit quicker than Michael in the lead of this one. But Michael has the position. He knows he's got the track to himself at the front. And he knows it's going to be very difficult for them to overtake. They are all MC Motorsport entries 1, 2, and 3 as well.
Ty Delaney's just giving it a little bit of a wiggle at the inside as well.
He is going in. Reese and
Okay, so
Coleman
Reese
are heading in
Wakefield
the pit lane. So
into
they are
the pit lane.
seizing this opportunity. Now, Reese, I thought, may have elected to stay out a little bit, see if they can catch that battle at the front there while they're fighting. But at the moment, he's elected to go in. David Coleman's gone in. So let's see how this first pit stop strategy works out for these gladiators. And Pat
View from on board with Jamie Dyke here.
We'll keep an eye on them down there. And there's pit guns are going off tap.
And Jackson Austin appears to have just entered his car. So he didn't take the green flag, but he has just made it back into his vehicle. So it looks like he might be picking this up 23 laps in.
So
I'm not sure.
Ahead of Coleman. I'll give you an idea. That's pit stops down there at the moment. 55.83 for Reese Wakefield. David Coleman 53.84. Just a slight bit quicker on the overall pit lane time.
Just a small difference in fuel there, you'd have to think. Have a look at the three fishies entries.
The entrance there, just slow it down so they don't get a speeding penalty.
And this is really interesting. So Jamie Dyke, we've seen him every single time around. He likes to poke his nose out on the approach to that corner. I think it's probably just so he's got visibility of his braking marker to make sure he nails it. But every time he does it, it's actually just shutting Ty Delaney down completely. It's a really interesting dynamic to watch.
So he's getting a lot of stuff kicked up on that screen, I was noticing. But I think he's throwing dummies out there. He's just filling the car full of mirrors, trying to force him into an error and a mistake. That's what he does best. I think that's why he's throwing that car around. He realizes he's not losing too much time by sticking his nose out. He knows that it's not an overtaking opportunity. He's trying to fool the driver, Michael, up there and say, hey, I'm coming. And Michael should be clever enough to look at his mirrors and go, no, you're not, mate. There's no way you're going to come from that far back unless you're dooring me.
Well, anything's possible, I suppose. Mango's on the money, though. It absolutely is fishy at the front tonight. And these three just putting in the laps over and over again.
Jared hasn't had a shower, but...
Oh, hang on now. The last lap from the front three, 109.14 for Angus, 9.11 for Dyke, and 9.13 for Delaney. Aaron Gilbert back in fourth at 9.18. So the three of them, even battling it out here, are starting to extend their gap to P4. It's all going to come down to pit stops to see how this one plays out.
Because we saw it in Heat 1, they're so evenly paced. We saw a spread of the Heat 1 finish with 34 odd seconds or so down the road from our race leader. Most of the grid was by the end of the race, so that's not a lot of time. That's to show you how close they are together on track and evenly matched in those lap times. So definitely going to come down. Look at that, Coleman banking in a fast lap. 107. And Reese Wakefield, 107 clubs. There's going to be a little indication for these other drivers at the moment because now they're slicing about 2 seconds a lap faster than these leaders are.
So these guys have got to be thinking about what that might mean for when they come into the pits, because if Wakefield can continue with sub-8s,
your engineer at the moment should be crunching some numbers for you down there and realising that how many more laps can these leaders do before they could be compromised on pit lane strategies.
And honestly, right now, just looking at the times, if these guys go into the pits right now, there's a very good chance that Wakefield and even Coleman would actually pass them. Depends on how long they're in the pits, but yeah, 50, what did we see? We saw about 53 seconds or thereabouts, 55 seconds from Wakefield and Coleman in the pits. If these guys spend the same length of time, Wakefield and Coleman are 51 and 52 odd seconds behind right now. if these guys spend even close to the same length of time in the pits as Coleman and Wakefield did, they're all going to come out in a bunch. That's going to be very, very interesting if we find ourselves in that particular situation.
Yeah, they'll be bunched up perhaps together. The only advantage, of course, will be to Michael. I mean, it'll help Reese Wakefield and get some track position with David Coleman. However, we know that the 4 fresh stickies advantage will go to that top 3 because they can afford to go deeper into this race, and of course those tyres are going to have more traction towards the end there, whereas Reese Wakefield and David will have a few more laps on the belt on their tyres.
108.2 and a 108.8 lap 2 for Wakefield and Coleman, so already starting to drop a little bit of time out of those laps, but even so...
You don't push it too much, do you? Because you want to make sure the tyres have what you need to bring it home.
Yeah, and it's a long way to go. It's a long way to go. Jackson Austin, we can confirm, is out on track. So a long way down, 23 laps behind, but I'm not quite sure what's happened that's caused him to miss the race start by such a distance. But good to see him out on track anyway and in it for the points.
Yeah,
of course,
so you forgot to take out the trash, and run outside, take the trash,
maybe,
and come back in the racing rig. But yeah, as long as he completes a certain amount of laps, he'll earn the points. And once again,
yeah, well, that is the
championship hunt at the end, and getting yourself to good point positions. And you're going to look back at races like this, going, "Damn, I was glad that I managed to continue."
Yeah, well, that is the ruling with MC Motorsport. Of course, you must greet the checkered flag, and that will get you, if you don't greet the checkered flag at the end, regardless of the number of laps down you are, you will get 0 points for the race. So important for Austin to get in there and really push on.
If you had the internet connection just die on you, wasn't it, the last lap?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that there may be some sort of something for us to look at. I can't remember the rules are confirmed, but if there was outstanding circumstances like that, perhaps that may reward you with half points or something like that.
I can confirm it's a conversation that's going on at the moment as to what the point structure looks like into the future. So, big moment there. Whoa, Michael Angus has just slid off track. Michael Angus out of the final turn, just gets loose. Those old tyres, unfortunately, giving up on him. Very, very lucky to keep it mostly on the bitumen, though. That makes for a very quick restart for him.
That is the pressure that Jamie had pushed for so long, and you can see that's the reaction that happened. Michael had, he knows that's an overtaken opportunity out of the final turn. He's gassed it up. Unfortunately, the rear end just slipped a little bit too much. Didn't quite have the traction. Went around and had to yield that position to Jamie and Ty. And that's exactly what Jamie does, isn't it? They just chip away at you mentally, force you into that little mistake, a tiny mistake, and then just like
that's all it takes.
A couple of places.
Yeah, absolutely. And spot on. You've got to watch that hairpin on the exit. There is again a nasty little bump on the way out of that hairpin. That if you're at full noise and those front tyres aren't dead straight, it's right about there. You see the guys just bouncing over it and getting a little bit sideways. And if the tyres go and you don't catch it, they're just going to keep letting go until you're all of a sudden too far sideways to save it. And that's exactly what's happened to Michael Angus as he goes into the pits.
It's probably not a bad idea because tyres may
time for fresh tyres. Absolutely.
And see their strategy. I think he's going to yield it now. It's going to be crucial. Where's Reese Wakefield on the track? Because Reese and David are pretty close together, by about a second change between them. Are they going to leap past Michael Angus, which is going to give us a good indication when Jamie and Ty do head down the pit road?
Angus just getting to his pit now. So keeping an eye, of course, on Wakefield and Coleman.
The final corner as they scoot down there. I don't think
Michael Angus is still in the pit.
Michael's going to be out in time.
No, I don't think so at all. So there you go, Wakefield and Coleman coming past Angus. Let's see how far ahead they end up. Angus on the exit of the pits now. So he's ended up about 7 seconds back. That's huge.
Now, he didn't drop that. Michael did not drop that much time from the race leaders, remember, after that little mistake. So that's going to be super interesting. It's going to be close. Thomas Wilson It doesn't come in yet. Carefully, so it's Motorsport. So we have the top 7 drivers yet to make a pit stop here. And are they comfortable with that? Those drivers like Reese Wakefield and David are in the 18.8s. So they have slowed down a little bit at that pace. 19.2s, 19 flat for Aaron Gilbert in that last lap.
9 twos, 9 flat, not 19s.
2 tenths to 3 tenths a lap quicker at the moment, those drivers with fresh pits.
Yeah, it's definitely making a difference. You've got to wonder if Dyke and Delaney are talking about this at the moment on their team radio, trying to decide what the strategy is. You can see them just starting to catch up to, I think that might be Jackson Austin, just in front of them. We'll catch him in a second.
Could split it with
Nick
Ty and
Garish.
Jamie. They could say, all right, Ty, you jump in first, mate, and I want to see what sort of lap times you can do, and then if it's clearly quicker, then Jamie will jump in. We'll flip that around and have Jamie go in first and see how it's going to pan out.
Can you imagine the argument? Jeez. Jamie Dyke there, I reckon, just dummying a pit entry as well. Going very, very close to ducking in there, but never going to pull up in time. As you see him dragging just a little more dirt onto the track as they clip the inside of turn 1. Now, I don't know if you're able to see this on the pictures at home, but check out the amount of debris on the outside of this turn right now. There is a huge amount of marble starting to build up there. So plenty of opportunity if someone does run wide, and it's happening at all of these corners now.
Sweep that up.
just brush it off. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I don't know about you, but I don't think even at Oran Park circa 2009, just before it was shut down, I don't think even then marshals were allowed to step out with a broom mid-race.
No, not when there's a supercar flying around the corners at high speed there. Safety first. We got iRacing. We'll get the virtual marshal out there. Look at the pressure at the moment. The tyres putting him back there, Jamie. But Jamie Dyke's used to this. He loves applying the pressure to the other drivers around him. So he's
certainly very capable. Look at
trick there. Yeah, kicking up a bit of inside dust. You can see there, flicking all up in the radiator there and losing a bit of cooling.
Jamie Dyke again feinting the pit entry. Ty Delaney not falling for it, of course, but I tell you what, Dyke's going to have to be really careful, because if he does want to pit ahead of Delaney at some point, he's going to have to watch that mirror to make sure Delaney doesn't go into the rear end of him. Delaney getting very loose on the exit as well.
Yeah, see the marbles that are coming out, kicking up on that corner. That's why they're getting loosey-goosey up for sure. So, and let's see.
Tyres getting
they are
shredded.
up to the 366 there with Nicholas, who was battling with them early, remember, but Nicholas has taken his pit stop back on lap 30. So I don't think he's going to put up too much of a fight for these guys, but it's a matter of where they approach Nicholas. And whoa! See that? Jamie gets loose. Ty, I don't think he even lifted on the throttle. He just kept it planted. And time we come into each other on that one. We've seen that
absolutely
before.
right.
Two race leaders get into each other, and then bingo. You got David Coleman says, "Thank you very much. I'll take that one any day of the week."
Aaron Gilbert's gone off the track in the background. We'll go back and take a look at that in just a moment. But Ty Delaney losing a lot of time through the corner there. Here goes Jamie Dyke, and here goes Ty Delaney, both going into the pits. So they've both
slaps the inside of fence as well too. Ty does. And that's
so let's take a look. Here comes a Reese Wakefield. So this is the first of the cars that has made their stop. Halfway through the lap right now, so you'd have to think they're about, what, 35 to 40 seconds away? That's going to be really close. Dyke and Delaney have got to make this pit stop very fast. Delaney's into his pit. Jamie Dyke's still making his way down the lane. In his pit now.
Reese Wakefield's coming through the final corner now and about to go on the main straight, so it's just gas, gas, gas. We should have these drivers exiting pit road right now. We do.
Take
so
a
Jamie
look.
Dyke's coming out.
There they are, rolling on the right-hand side.
side.
They're coming out of the pits, but these guys are bearing down on them very quickly. And right in the middle, Reese Wakefield. Oh, big contact, and there goes David Coleman. Contact with Ty Delaney in the background. And that puts him out into the kitty litter.
Saw an opportunity there with those other drivers coming out pit road, and unfortunately it hasn't worked out. So
let's go back and take another look at that.
But the thing is, Jamie Dyke's come out behind Jeremy Washington. So he's got traffic. It'll help Reese Wakefield. Reese Wakefield will be able to see, as you see the replay currently at the moment, there of David Coleman going into the kitty litter. But yeah, this'll frustrate, because Jamie Dyke for sure.
Yeah, Washington's now going to be defending hard
Washington
against
still
Dyke
has
and
to go to
Wakefield.
pit road, and it's going to bring Reese Wakefield into the clutches of Jamie Dyke. And of course, Ty came out, so Reese Wakefield managed to jump Ty in that pit stop, working the early pit stop strategy on lap 22.
So there's the pit entry for Jeremy Washington.
Yeah, that will free up now Jamie Dyke to get on with it as Reese was approaching. As Reese needs to approach, he's got Tyler Delaney hunting him down.
As Ty goes up the inside.
Now.
And just like that, Ty Delaney goes through and Reese Wakefield is left to just pick up the pieces afterwards.
Fresh rubber coming out of the pit lane, isn't it? We saw him banking in 107s. Fresh out of the pit lane.
Very, very quick times immediately out of there. And I suspect these guys will all be running pretty similar fuel loads at this point, given that they've all been through the pits. You'd think that they're pretty well aligned for the race finish, but yeah, those tyres on Dyke and Delaney now 11 laps fresher than Reese Wakefield's. So that's going to be a very big ask for Wakefield to hang with them all the way to the end. Still just on 22 laps to go, so a lot of time left in this race.
Yeah, top three in the box, and there's no way that they're going to be coming out ahead.
No, absolutely not.
Jamie Dyke should be our net race leader currently at the moment, 36.
107.8 and a 107.6 for Dyke and Delaney. So sure enough, fresh tyres and that lighter fuel load with less time to go. And these guys
now,
are starting to
continue the 107s
step
for a
away.
while, because we saw that too from Reese Wakefield and David Coleman. But then they backed off and started jumping into the 108s after a couple of laps later on those fresh boosts. I'm just curious to see if that's going to be the same situation with Jamie Dyke and Ty.
Yeah, if anyone's going to keep those times up there, it's going to be these two. We've seen them lap consistently, time and time again. The only question here will be how much Pat Trappett causes them to slow down. Because he's obviously on some very, very old tyres, hasn't made his stop yet.
P2 position, so he's had enough of those boots, and he'll get a splash.
It's fair enough too.
Wilson stays out, Pat Trappett's still out there, still yet to pit. But if they're doing 109s now, those drivers, late 109s, they're certainly going to be under massive pressure, as you can currently see on your pictures, from the likes of fresh tyres and fresh speed there from Jamie Dyke and Ty.
Geez, that was brave from Dyke. If Trappett had decided that he was going to box there, Dyke would have had to take some very, very fast evasive action. It's this is
Going, are you going to pit?
Pat, just give me a heads up, mate. That's all I'm asking for. It's a dangerous pit entry, this one, as Jamie Dyke makes the move up the inside of Trappett.
He's not waiting, yeah. They're going for it. Sees the opportunity with the traction.
Delaney goes through as well.
I imagine, too, that Tyler has some pace out of the corner. He will.
Oh, very, very close to contact there between Delaney and Trappett.
Paddy allowed him a little bit of space there, knowing that he's got to go pit lane soon anyway, so why battle that fight? That's not what's currently going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably the wise choice for Pat Trappett, just
whether or not
keep
Reese
it
can
going.
clear out Pat pretty quickly as well, too. That's going to be the key, because Reese wants to catch that pack up front. He doesn't want to drop it back too far from him.
I don't think he's going to come even close to catching them right now.
He's thinking about that P3, but I think Reese will be.
Oh yeah, you got to hang in there, but you don't have to catch these guys at all.
Save those tyres.
I just want to go back and take a quick look at the pass, Delaney on Trappett, because I think there might have been just a little contact afterwards. Trappett finds himself wide. Oh, yep, just a little bit of a rub there.
I don't think he saw him sneaking up.
No, he absolutely did. Absolutely did. He just went wide into the grass and got turned a little bit inside. And that very, very lucky for Delaney to not get just absolutely flicked around there.
Now the Delaney-Dyke show will continue, and it's not a law firm. And as these two drivers have been at it tooth and nail for the majority of this feature race, and they're going to go at it for tooth and nail for the rest of this race. It's going to be a matter of who wants it more. Does Jamie want it more, or does Ty Delaney want it more? Both of these drivers, remember, are right up the top of the timesheets in the championship standings. So it's crucial for both of them to get the hell points or more. That's the question. As Thomas finally comes into pit lane. Not the last one. Pat Trappett's still the last one to go down pit road. He's stretching that fuel tank, mate. Got the 34 machines as far as he can. He's still going out front on the lap as well.
Well, why not? If you've got the fuel for it, may as well push on.
Must be getting close to running away from this last point.
Yeah, 40 laps in. I mean, the upside is he's going to have a nice light car with the fresh tyres to finish, so does give himself a pretty good chance, I reckon. Once Trappett does make his stop, then yeah, he's going to give himself a good shot.
Thomas Wilson comes back out in P8 just ahead of Nicholas there, so he is just behind Henry King, just short of a second. Henry King up 7 places, Thomas down 1 place. Man from Adelaide started 8th in this race, started 7th, currently P8. So he's a solid drive there for the SCS machine, and that's just a good haul of points. Just bringing home at this point right now, Silvani, and see your name move up to the list. A couple of drivers that aren't here this evening in the championship hunt.
Absolutely. Brad just saying in the chat, pretty sure Delaney will get a penalty for the turn 2 incident with Coleman. I suspect so. We haven't had confirmation from race control that I've seen, although I do see a 10-second time penalty for a turn 2 incident. I can't actually see who that was given to, but I reckon you might be on the money there. It could well be. There you go, Pat Trappett in on lap 40. So nice fresh tyres to finish it out. And that should be a pretty quick stop for him as well. Won't need a whole lot of fuel taken on there. It'll just be a question of where he comes out and what those new tyres let him pull back as he drops back to...
should get out ahead of the 640 so
well, it'll be close.
He's not.
Look at that gap.
He's going to get him. So David Coleman will steal that P10 away from Paddy.
Trappett's got fresh tyres though. I believe in you, Pat Trappett. Get into it. Look at the gap back to Reece Wakefield right now. 6.5 seconds. These guys are driving just completely out on their own, enjoying a completely clear track. In front, behind. Just absolutely walking away from the rest of the field.
Yeah,
and then another 9 seconds back.
On lap 22. It's just basically bringing Reece back in the same position. He started P3 in this race. He's in P3. Brizzy boy, he's just going to bring it home and get the P3 result.
You can't be too upset with that. That's not bad.
Michael Angus down the road there. So he's going to just maintain that, bring it home. I don't think he's going to have that pace, of course, to challenge our leaders. He's in the 109s, lapping these leaders at the moment, lapping mid 108s. So, yeah, Reece.
If he can hang in there.
Nice chunk of points there for P3. I'll take that any day of the week there. Let these two battle it out. Hey, you never know. They come together.
Yeah, got to stay in it.
Reece is going to be right in the hot seat.
Got to be in it to win it and all that. Just looking at the moves this race, big shout out to McDonald and King. Dave McDonald and Henry King, 5th and 6th right now. Both of them up 8 spots since the start. So they started pretty well at the back of the pack off the line this evening. But have fought their way through to be in 5th and 6th and reasonably comfortable there. That said, Thomas Wilson right now is all over them and looking to take a couple of those spots away if he can. So perilously close to dropping that wheel off the inside of that hairpin. It's not a place you can afford to do that. I think the track drops a good 6 inches on the inside of that curb, and you absolutely will just get locked into it and spun off into the infield if you get that wrong. So pushing the limits, Wilson looking to hopefully close a couple of positions here if he can take McDonald and King ahead of him. Of course, his tyres pretty well the same as Henry King. Thomas Wilson taking tyres on 38, King on 36, but Dave McDonald up ahead taking his on 24. So again, about 10 laps difference there.
Might come under attack on this one, Damon. So just got some nice banker laps in at the moment, build that gap that he has up over Henry King and Thomas Wilson, and Tommy's got the fan club out there. So Tommy, the 308, go, started exactly where he is in P7. A little mistake I was watching before from Tyle Delaney there, coming out of the exit, chasing down Jamie, so it cost him about 1 or 2 tenths, but they're still at it for P1 and P2.
Yeah, they're locked in there, aren't they?
Lord Henry King and Thomas Wilson.
And they're just starting to catch sight of Michael Angus up ahead as well, so this could well become a battle for 4th in just a few laps' time. It does make me wonder just how much damage Angus might have had from his spin earlier, but he did come in and get fresh tyres immediately after. That was back on lap 29. So again, his tyres almost a full 10 laps older than King and Wilson. And that's all going to play out to potentially be the difference in the last 15 laps here at Oran Park. The MC8 series gold split here tonight. If you haven't seen it before, welcome along. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. We do this every Monday night. Gold split is going on live, and of course the silver split running at the same time will be broadcast later in the week. But right now our attention stays with Jamie Dyke and Ty Delaney, who are making their way down the main straight, starting lap 44. And absolutely nothing to split these two tonight.
108 and half's 2 then split in that lap between them, so that's been the
still plenty of pace.
Average lap pace of our front runners this evening, and will certainly show not too much between these two. All Ty can do at this point is continue to apply the pressure to Jamie. Force Jamie to a mistake, which doesn't happen very often. That's the reason why Jamie's leading the championship standings. Ty is leading the championship standings. No, Jamie's leading.
Yeah, you're right. This is the championship order. Jamie Dyke followed by Ty Delaney. Of course, drop rounds have to be considered. We will provide an update on a big moment there for Ty Delaney dipping the tyre off into the grass, but recovers it without too much issue at all. He's really cutting everything. Look at how deep they're going on the side of the track there. They're cutting a good half car width into the grass every single lap. We see just a little bit of cloud cover finally hopefully bring these track temperatures down. It's been a very, very hot one here at Oran Park. Of course, it is an Australian summer, but we started off with 50 odd degrees track temp. It's down to 41, so still not a cool track by any means. The air temp's still 30 degrees right now with 13 and a half laps to go. These drivers getting absolutely no reprieve from the conditions, except for this tiny bit of cloud cover for however long it lasts. And sometimes here in Australia, that's about all you can hope for, isn't it?
Absolutely. And Jamie Dyke doing his absolute best to hold Ty. Now, Jamie Dyke has started all these 6 races at the moment. He's going to have a podium almost every race, while he hasn't picked up a podium on. So 5 podiums in the 6 starts, which could give it to Ty Delaney. He's only had the 4 starts, but he's got 3 podiums. So hopefully Australia is sharing about 90% podium ratio. And at the moment, we're looking for solid for another one.
Absolutely. As we take a look a bit further back in the field, Henry King now applying the pressure to Wilson. Is still not quite able to latch onto the back of McDonald right now up in P5. But these two continuing to battle it out. Big slide there for Henry King. Just catches it. But he'll drop away again. Gives you an idea of just how hard he's pushing to try and close that gap to Wilson. Thankfully, didn't end up sideways into the fence there. But he'll have to be careful. Those tyres again now will be feeling it, so he's going to have to slow it down just a little to get them back in temp. But these 4 continue down the straight in the vain hope that something might happen up front with Dyke and Delaney, and about all they can hope for Reece Wakefield, Michael Angus and so on back through the field is that these two
will get Damon McDonald here soon because of that 10 or so lap difference in those tyres, so I would certainly not be surprised if Damon McDonald's got a hold of big time here. It's not going to be easy.
I mean, the lap times, though, at the moment, McDonald last lap at 109.27 and Wilson at 9.66. So, although the tyres are a lot older on McDonald's Mustang, the fuel load coming off is really compensating for that in terms of his lap times. So we see Delaney really closing the gap here. Absolutely nothing in it as they make their way down the main straight. Whether Delaney actually has a crack at this or not, though, is always going to be the question. I think for now he's happy to just keep pressuring, although he takes a huge look up the inside. Jamie Dyke, consistent as ever, just holds his line.
Good
and
exit moment there for Thomas Wilson too, mate. He's got Damon on the exit. I figured that was going to happen at the final turn, and there it is. There's the switcheroo. So Thomas unleashed up the road to try to take on Michael Angus from Pushing Motorsport entering the 205.
Here comes Delaney taking a look up the inside on the bridge. That is brave. Makes me wonder if Delaney's decided that it's time to make a move here. Jamie Dyke has been absolutely rock solid. Doesn't look like he's losing any time anywhere around the track at the moment. Just completely consistent every single turn. Delaney maybe just starting to show a few signs of desperation creeping in. He knows he's only got about 11 laps to go.
I think it's too soon. I think it's just trying to play that psychological game of Jamie Dykes. It's trying to just force him and give him a little teaser of perhaps what he's planning on doing, and seeing what sort of reaction Jamie's going to do to that attack, and see if he can force him. This is what Nigel Mansell used to do quite well on the one. He would study his opponent like that and force his opponent to make some sort of defensive move there, and then you seize the opportunity on the exit like a switcheroo. Nigel Mansell's very famous for that one. You pretend to go one way and then of course you cut around the other way. That's perhaps something that ties to the plan currently at the moment. Fishing has
controlling that oversteer, just constantly on the edge of the grip that's available from those rear tyres. In fact, almost every corner so far we're seeing Delaney actually steering out of the slide. It's impressive to watch, and the amount of work he's doing just having to flick to correct as the car wants to step out on him. This is the sort of thing that really shows you the difference between these top-rate drivers and those more mere mortal types among us, referring, of course, to myself.
I was going to say,
absolutely.
Hey, I'm not even a race driver, so everybody's 100% on me.
It's always impressive to watch just the reaction times to these little movements in the car, and Delaney just showing how it's done right the way around as he continues to try and hunt down Jamie Dyke. The gap staying within, I think this is about the biggest gap we've seen for a while here, is 4/10. And that's over the last probably 15 laps or thereabouts since they pitted, basically. This is the battle they've been locked into. And as they're doing that, they continue to pull away. Reece Wakefield, now 10 seconds further back down the track from these two. He's maintaining his gap to Michael Angus, so pretty comfy there. But here comes Henry King looking up the inside of McDonald. McDonald runs wide. King goes up onto the dirt, and he'll find himself on the inside, nicely positioned for the turn onto the bridge. And of course, McDonald getting out into the marbles. Yep.
McDonald couldn't quite hold on. Henry King will take that place. So now McDonald's dropped two drivers on fresher boots there. Thomas Wilson got him a few laps earlier there. Henry King now taking that place away from Damon McDonald. Damon's got to be considering just bringing his car home, getting himself that gap ahead of Nicholas in P8, and just doesn't have the traction. Clearly that's what it looks like to me.
Look, I don't think too much of that was actually to do with the tyres. You see Delaney getting loose again out of turn 2. I think most of that was just brilliant positioning from Henry King to force McDonald wide. And once you go wide on this track, I mean, you can see by this stage of the race just how much debris is out there. You touch that and you've got no grip at all. So it's not just about who's quickest, but it's about positioning yourself to force the other driver into less than favourable track conditions, and that can be enough to get you the exit you need.
He's been doing it for a chunk of change of a handful of laps on Jamie, and just Jamie's not biting to that.
No, Dyke hasn't actually played a particularly defensive line from what we've seen for a number of laps here. He's just held his racing line, continues to get the pace, and you can see Delaney's doing everything he can, taps the wall there just briefly.
Throws at the fence exactly on the exit. That's how much power he's putting down.
He's trying everything he can to get the drive out of the corners, and you've got to think at this stage that Dyke's just butter smooth driving is what's keeping him comfortably in front of Delaney. His tyres just seem to be holding it a little better. I don't know if these two are running the same setup, being on the same team. But Dyke certainly seems to be making the better of it right now. The lap times, nothing in it, 108.86 and 108.88 on the last lap, so they're both lapping at the same pace, but Dyke just seems to be doing it so much easier than Delaney is right now.
I'm just wondering how the situation would have panned out if they didn't box. If say, for example, Delaney just
held out another lap or something like that. Yeah,
and because they both boxed at the same time, so it just came in, line of stand, the exit, line of stand, there's really nothing between them. I think at this one, if Ty doesn't get the overtake on track, he might be buying himself to say, should probably switch that pit stop strategy a little different to try and get it, because it's very much Formula 1-esque kind of thing situation now, isn't it, with the cars being so close together, so evenly matched, that it generally always comes down to that pit stop overcut or undercut to to get the job done. Now these drivers had their pit stops done, and it's going to only rely on whether or not you can get the OT done on track with the tyre.
Absolutely right. And we see in the background Thomas Wilson has finally caught up to Michael Angus. So we've got another battle going on here for P4. Reese Wakefield.
There's another old tyres there for Michael Angus, mate. Remember, he
absolutely is.
Lap 29, and he's going to be under massive pressure there for Tommy.
Yeah, he's only got another 6.5 laps or so to hold on, but I'll tell you what, at this stage of the race, you're starting to feel it. Meanwhile, out in front, Jamie Dyke looking very cool, calm, composed and collected. Ty Delaney's got all the work to do here as far as Dyke's concerned.
He's probably sitting his racing and going, you kidding me? Sweat.
Drinking a beer right now, maybe? No, not yet.
Pouring out, sweaty and trying to hold off a very quick tie.
He's making it look easy from up here, though, isn't he?
He certainly is. It's sort of a true fantastic racing driver is to handle the heat in the kitchen.
About the only thing that I think can play into it at this point is just ahead we've got Jackson Austin on track. If these guys do catch him, look at the debris on the track there.
Yeah,
that's
did you
disgusting.
See the loud pedal? Ty lays down a whole burnout almost in the exit of that corner there. So not that much rubber that you're going to have on those tyres. You're going to need to save it a little tiny bit if you want to find your way past the 80 machine.
If these guys do run into Jackson Austin up ahead, though, that's gonna potentially be the break that Delaney needs here. Because he's been lapping with Dyke over and over again. All it's going to take is the slightest moment of slowdown from Dyke. And if Delaney can work that to his advantage, he's going to be through here as they again throw more debris onto the track.
Who's on the Christmas list there of Action Jackson, isn't it? From the Gen3 race lane. You know, he knows two Fishing Motorsports racing entries coming up soon to him. Who does he like the most, really? He could play a key chess piece in this game.
I suspect he wants to stay well out of the way of both of them at this point, I reckon. Thomas Wilson will go back to this battle as well because Michael Angus continues to find himself under pressure as they make their way onto the home straight. Yeah, something else to add. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm not sure if it was around before the debris update, but have you noticed just how much rubber gets coated to these cars over the length of the race now?
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. Yeah, adds all the extra weight, doesn't it? A bit of sound deadening as well, though.
Add that into it for the weight for the marbles, but certainly
I suspect it probably makes a negligible enough difference that it's not worth coding for. But you can see the additional rubber marks on the side here of Wilson's car. It's a nice touch. It's a nice touch. Have a look at Delaney.
Yeah.
Again, all over the back of Jamie Dyke.
Yeah, I suspect this will be times he's going to start making moves that he wouldn't necessarily do. He's certainly going to start planning something. But then again, remember, Jamie Dyke is well aware of that. He knows that there's about 4 laps to go. 3 laps now. He knows that that Ty's going to try something soon. But has Ty Delaney thrown out all his bluffs, really? And he's going to start laying his cards on the table right now.
Big moment as well,
He's done
Delaney.
that twice now. He did that last lap as well. To that exit right there, Ty starts laying down a ton of rubber, and it loses him just a little bit of time, but also overcooks once again the tyres. You see, gets loose there.
He's definitely thrown everything he's got left in that set of tyres.
He's in that loud pedal and it's just slipping. And I think at the moment Jamie's spotted, probably right down the radio, telling him that that's where Ty is making some mistakes. He's not making many of them on this track at the moment, but he's certainly making some mistakes.
They're starting to creep in, though, as he desperately pushes to try and close that gap up. For a moment there, we saw this gap as big as it has been in about the last 30 laps. It's now out to a half second, and that might be all that Jamie Dyke needs to know that he's on the winning formula here. If he can just hold it together for 3 more laps, we're about to start lap 56 of 58.
And side by side, I think Thomas Wilson and Michael contact there too, mate, and that's unfortunately Thomas Wilson will have to back off big time. I'm sure we're going to go back to replay that one.
As well.
I think Damon McDonald's going to, Henry King's going to scoot on by, take that position. So just like that, Tommy drops a place in the dome stage of this race.
It's Henry King coming past. Thomas Wilson, you see, getting very, very loose there. We don't actually catch.
Snaps the oversteer again. Still trying to keep a point. Thankfully, cars.
Might have
That's
to
all that pressure he was trying to get past Michael.
take a bit of a look at this because I don't know that we've actually caught it any other way. Let's see what's happened here.
Yeah, he sends it up the inside there on Michael and couldn't quite get it to connect. Michael turns in because he has the corner.
Oh, big contact. Yeah, big contact.
So, that's that close battle that's done and dusted for a little while. Give us a chance to focus back up the top of the timesheet. So, Jamie and Ty still getting a good exit out of the final turn there. Get a bit of a run, but then again, just a power that may be the difference between the Ford Mustang there and the Chevy. It's just Ford seems to have that little bit more acceleration out of the corner, doesn't it? Very, very difficult.
I think it's got to be all in the setup here because the two cars are identically matched in terms of power output, chassis, everything. So it's all down
like
to the setup.
They're just by name. Don't actually look.
Yeah, basically the chassis setup is for all intents and purposes, and certainly for ours here at iRacing, they are identical cars. And so what you're seeing here is just the difference in setup and the difference in driving style. Jamie Dyke, again, we've seen this all night. He's so consistent. And I think that's just saved.
Will they catch, as you said?
Yeah, Jackson Austin, he's just there now, isn't he? These guys have been slowly catching up to him. Jamie Dyke probably praying that he's not going to have to try and pass Jackson Austin on this last lap as we come to the last turn.
Well, if he does pray to pass him on the straight race, which is not really over this track.
No, they really aren't. As we see the view back to Ty Delaney, that is quite a bit further and certainly not closing up at the rate that Delaney usually has here. So Jamie Dyke, the final lap, just has to make it around one last time. But Ty Delaney not looking to make it easy.
He did make a mistake out of that corner this time around too, so you can see how much he's gained right there on Jamie. He knew that. Fooled me twice on those previous laps there. He's made a mistake, but he did look a little greedy on the exit pedal, gets a little wiggly, but that's because he's applying so much pressure. He knows at the moment a potential race win slipping through his fingers here. Jamie knows that all he has to do is just swing it home there for another couple of seconds, and he has this one in the bag. Don't think, as you said, they're going to catch at this point Jackson. So there's going to be a sprint race between these two at the end. One more sector to go there. Can Jamie Dyke hold off his equivalent points in this championship?
It's all going to be down to this last hairpin. Jamie Dyke just has to execute it perfectly one last time. No pressure at all, Mr. Dyke, as he makes his way onto the home straight. And that'll be it. Jamie Dyke goes to the flag and takes the win. A fantastic drive from both the Fishies Motorsport entries. These guys have battled it out for what seems like, well, we know it's been at least 25 laps since they both exited the pit at the same time. And Jamie Dyke brings home the race win. Absolutely huge effort for Jamie Dyke, and certainly for Ty Delaney as well. Ran a stellar race, but just couldn't in the end bring it home. And that's certainly not through lack of trying. Jamie Dyke, your very, very deserving winner here in race number 2. 150 k's around Oran Park is a big ask for anyone. Reese Wakefield wrapping up third place as well. But Jamie Dyke, the celebratory donuts, as always. That's what we'd like to see. Just trying as best he can to light those rear tyres up.
He's probably absolutely exhausted right now and just go, okay, I can barely turn the wheel. It's just been a tough race. He's had to hold on.
Absolutely.
The pressure they meant from Lane Victoria gets the job done. More points in the bag for his championship hunt, and he continues to maintain the lead.
That he will. As we wait for the rest of the field to finish, we'll keep an eye on Jamie Dyke's burnouts. But let's bring him into the box. Reese Wakefield picking up a P3 out of all of that. Mate, well done this evening.
Thank you.
So big gap, obviously, to the front too. It looked like you're in it with a shot for a little while there, but not to be tonight. Still a P3, not to be argued with.
Yeah, it was basically just a matter of whether there was a group in front of me at the end of lap 22, because at the end of lap 22 I knew I could put in enough fuel to get it home. So once I was still in that P4 position, I just decided to try the undercut, and it paid out. Like, my tyre management on the older tyres wasn't too bad. The pace was consistent, so as long as I could keep it on track, would have been a half decent result. But definitely not expecting a P3. I mean, the start of the season hasn't exactly been great, but it's only up from here.
Yeah, I had a nice
Absolutely.
battle with David Coleman as well too. When you guys elected to go in, pit stops very similar actually.
Yeah.
But you went to really early, course 22. I think that was great. Why not? Risk it for the biscuit. Try the undercut. And well, you didn't gain anything, you didn't lose anything. Got that P3. His fan clubs out there had actually predicted that one earlier. But yeah, did you think you had anything there for Jamie and Ty this morning?
No, definitely not. Once I saw that I came out in between the both of them, I knew they were going to get me on the fresher tyres. All I could really do was manage my own race. So that's pretty much what I did. I let Ty by because I knew I was just going to hold him up. So I just let him by, and then all I did was manage my own race, and it seemed to work out in the end.
Well, can't argue with that, and it has gone very nicely for you tonight. P3 in race 2, some well-deserved points. Reece Wakefield, congratulations. We'll let you go and just relax a little after that one, hey?
Thank you very much, guys.
Reece Wakefield, P3 there in a race number 2. Our race winner tonight, though, as I'm sure he's mopping up the sweat off that racing rig, Jamie Dyke. Welcome back to the comms booth, my friend.
Oh, how are we, boys?
I suspect
you?
I'm probably
More than anything, Jamie.
well more hydrated than you are as a start.
I'm melting.
What a stellar battle that was. Even just looking at it from where you both went into the pits there, yourself and Ty Delaney going at it within a half second of each other at all times for 25 laps. Mate, how on earth did you keep your composure there?
I guess I kind of tried to just forget about him and hit my marks. Because I know in race 1, I really struggled when I was pushing and braking deep and not hitting the marks. And with him defending, it's such a hard track to pass. I know, even if he's better than me in the braking zone, if I could get to the apex before him and get a nice drive out of the corner, I could defend pretty well. And he had the pace, but I just held on to it in the end.
Yeah, it's certainly something we noted watching you going around there. You just seemed so composed right throughout, and I think in the end that's probably what helped you hold it together. Ty Delaney threw absolutely everything he could at you there, though, and in the end just wasn't quite able to make it stick. I've got to ask, in terms of the car setups tonight, just how different were the two setups? Or were you both running the same setup this evening, being teammates and all?
I'm not quite sure what Ty was running, but I was running Coleman's setup as I was last week, and Coleman's the setup man at Fishy at the moment, and he's doing a banger job, and improved with his pace tonight. He got the win in Heat 1. Dude's quick.
Absolutely. Looks not a lot between it. Well, mate, I don't know what else to say, but an incredible congratulations to you on what was one of the most hard-fought victories I think I've seen in any of the races I've covered so far. So bloody well done to you. Oran Park is not a friendly track at the best of times, and so to hold it together for the number of laps that you did, just an absolute monster effort. Well done. Congrats on the win tonight.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Let you go get a drink, hey?
Yeah. Have a good night, boys.
Cheers, Jamie. And of course, we will take the opportunity to have a chat to Ty Delaney as well. Just couldn't quite get there in the end tonight, Ty. Made a stellar effort, though, and probably one of the greatest battles we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was a really good race. Not too interesting, to be honest, from my point of view. But, I was actually quite happy with getting back to second, considering I started 9th and how hard this track is to pass. But it was going to be very hard to pass Jamie if I possibly could, because of the way he's crazy fast. The track's so hard to pass on, and he's just an awesome driver.
He was Mr. Consistent tonight too. We kept watching. I think we probably watched almost all of the 25 laps that you two were at it after that pit stop, and you just wouldn't move off the racing line at all. Gave you absolutely nowhere to kind of throw the nose in. Any points there where you were just getting frustrated with that, or quite happy to just sit in and wait for him to potentially step it out?
To be honest, I was quite happy sitting behind him for a bit because I've been told by him that he was not very good with someone behind him pressuring, but apparently not. That seems to be incorrect because he was so consistent tonight. Couldn't get anywhere, to be honest. I had a few looks down the inside a couple of times, but there was no way I was ever going to get a move done on him. But yeah, he was just an absolute robot tonight.
Mate, it was a fantastic battle to watch from our perspective. Both of you doing Fishies absolutely proud with what was a stellar display. Just lap in, lap out. I don't think I've ever seen lap times so consistent and so few errors from two drivers battling it over that length of time. And to do it in a Gen 3 supercar at a track like Oran Park takes something pretty special. So, mate, hold the head high because, yeah, as you say, a P2 tonight, certainly nothing to sneeze at when it's so hard to make a move around this track. Ty Delaney, some more points for you, mate. Jamie Dyke and yourself will stay in the battle for the top of the championship for another week, eh?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hopefully I can push all the way to the end and hopefully we'll have a good battle, but I am hoping that I win the championship.
Fingers crossed from here, mate. Well done tonight. A very well-deserved P2.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Biggles, you know what? Oran Park, I still maintain it's one of my least favourite tracks, but certainly turned it on for us tonight in some difficult conditions. That was just an awesome display of battle from the front two, both Fishy Motorsports entries, of course, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that sort of consistency.
Well, yeah, and the pressure cooker was out and firing up and all cylinders in that one. It was up between those drivers. It was just consistent, everything that they were getting at tooth and nail. Tyler threw everything at Jamie Dyke, and Jamie Dyke just cool, calm, and collective. Get the job done, maintained it under pressure. Amazing. I know that most of the time in highlight reels they always show, the overtakes and go, what a fantastic overtake. They don't show the 20 or 30 laps of pressure that drivers have managed to maintain and still have a cool head and still bring it home. That itself, as you said,
it's a huge ask.
Racing.
Huge ask, absolutely. We'll run through the results for race number 2. Jamie Dyke and Ty Delaney out in front, of course. Reece Wakefield wrapping up P3. Michael Angus hangs on for 4th ahead of Henry King and Thomas Wilson. Damon McDonald finishing in 7th. Nicholas Garrioch in 8th and Aaron Gilbert in 9th. David Coleman unfortunately finds himself back down in P10, unable to move up after a couple of less than ideal incidents across the evening. Pat Trappett in 11th. Jeremy Washington backs up his 12th in race 1 with a 12th in race 2. Jackson Austin gets back in track very late on to collect P13. Aidan Cale and Dean Powell unfortunately not finishing the race this evening. All points, of course, provisional before stewards' reports and any drop rounds. So we'll have to wait and see what happens from here. A report in the chat, though, from David Coleman. Netcode apparently responsible for that contact with Ty Delaney. So we will see how that all wraps up once the stewards do their thing over the next couple of nights. But that is round 4 to a close for us here, Biggles. We've got a nice little break next week here with the MCV8 season, taking a rest week for the Real World Bathurst 12-hour, but we will be back immediately after with the first of our Enduros. We are heading to Sandown, and that one's going to be, I think, an interesting one. Yeah. Sandown's always a track
that... Thanks to be back in the booth of you, of course. The Silver Split, no doubt, will be broadcasted very soon, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled at how they handle obviously this track and today, and the pressure cooker as well too. So those are hard to overtaking moments as well too. But entire strategies we saw late on that one with Reece Wakefield taking that opportunity. We shall see. Silver Split drivers don't get to watch this one and then race. They're racing at the same time. Of course, we're broadcasting it there and show that right on the screen. So thanks for being back in the booth and again with you, Jared, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely, Will. Always a pleasure. Dean Hopton, of course, joining me here again. And from everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcasts, a massive thank you to everyone watching the racing tonight. We will be back later in the week, of course, with the Silver Split. So make sure you have subscribed and hit the bell icon down below to make sure you're notified when that one goes live. Until next time, though, please do stay tuned, catch up on some of the racing if you have missed it, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time to bring you the gold split from the MCV8 series right here on Simple Racing Broadcast. Until then, take care of yourselves, look after each other, and it's goodbye for now.